Hi guys, Jamie here from JB Motion, and today we have a super duper long tutorial for you guys. 4 hours. So yeah, that's definitely the longest tutorial ever in the history of tutorials. But we are going to be making this from start to finish. And for those of you that don't know, this is my submission to the latest 3D challenge by Pwnisher. It's the boss fight challenge. You guys may not be aware of what I'm talking about, but basically Pwnisher comes out with one of these 3D challenges once every 6 months. And I decided to make a tutorial showing my progress from start to finish. There are a couple of files that you're going to be able to download from the description below. The most important one being the boss fight project files template. So that you're going to need that to get started on this. The rest I'll explain as we go along. But this is a long one and there is a lot to be learned. And it is probably for people who haven't actually entered one of these competitions before and they're just looking to learn some Unreal Engine 5 combined with Cinema 4D to kind of broaden their knowledge, I suppose, in a way, kind of a beginner tutorial, you might say. But again, some people that have entered, you might find this interesting. And if you do, please do continue watching. And if you like it, let me know in the comments below. So without further ado, let's get started on this. Here we go. Okay guys, so I've downloaded my boss fight starter files and I'm in the project files folder in Unreal Engine. So this is the template. So I'm going to copy this file path, go to the Epic Games launcher. And then I'm going to be launching Unreal Engine 5.3. Now the reason I'm using the preview version of 5.3, well the reason I'm using 5.3 is because VDBs are supported in it. They're not supported in 5.2 unless you use a plugin. So that's why I went down this road. I kind of took a chance, I suppose, using a preview version to create a relatively large project, but it worked out anyway, so it was cool. So let's now browse to find the paths that I just copied and pasted. So it's this one here, and I'm going to open this up. Now it's going to ask me to, so it's told me it's made with a different version of Unreal, so we can open a copy. And that's going to make a copy of it and I suppose upgrade it for 5.3. Okay, so if we go back to our folder now, we should have a new folder that it created for 5.3. So that's opened that up automatically. Okay, so this is our template. I'm just going to close down this panel. I don't need it. And we want to see the sequencer, so we can see the animation, the camera animation that comes with the template. And I used the boss fight medium template for this. So if we click on this lock viewport to shots, now we can see there's the camera animation. First of all, we can see that the frame rate here is 30 frames per second, but the template is set at 24 frames per second, so we can just change that to 24 frames per second. Now if we go to our first frame, it starts on frame 0, and the last frame starts on frame 0119, so that's exactly 120 frames. And we can set this to loop, so it will loop over and over. So I suppose we can start off by bringing in our boss. So I got the boss from the Unreal Marketplace. So if I just minimize this, go to my Epic Games launcher and go to the Marketplace, you guys will be able to find him in Epic Games content. And if I just make this bigger, I believe he's on page 6. So you can see there's a lot of characters to choose from here. Boss looking characters, maybe 7. Okay, so I found him. He's on page 7 and it's here. This is him. Well, this is one of the guys that comes with the pack. So this is the guy here. So I already have him downloaded. What you can do is just go to add to project and you can follow the steps there. So I already have him downloaded. So I think if I go to my library and scroll down, I should be able to see him here somewhere. Here he is. So I can add him to projects. So I want to show all projects. And let's see. So just to narrow this down, I'm going to search BF template. And if I hover over this little eye, it'll show me the file path. So you want to make sure that you are getting your Unreal Engine 5.3. That's the project you're going to be adding it to, the one we just converted. Because there's like, you could put it into 5.21 and, you wouldn't see it there. So this is the correct one. So I'm just going to select that. And it says it's not compatible with this version. So we just need to select the closest one to it and then add to project. So that's going to load and load itself into the project. So we'll wait for that to load itself in. Cool, so that's loaded into the project now. So if we go into our Unreal, go into the content folder, and here it is. So we can grab him, he's in characters, heroes, rampage, skins, and I think it's tier 2, elemental. So we grab his mesh, and we can just drag him into the scene. So let's just deactivate our camera, unlock the viewport from shots here for a second. And hopefully you guys know how to navigate Unreal. And we're just going to push him back to the area of interest circle here. We can get rid of this guy. Just delete this. Say yes, he's gone. We have our boss here now. So we'll pop him right into the circle and we can scale him up. So you can select scale from here. A way I like to do it is use my keyboard. I just hit space, space to kind of select the rotation, scale and transform tools. So I'm going to select him and hit F on my keyboard. Then if I hold down Alt, and I can then rotate around him with my mouse. I'm going to scale him up a little bit more. And we can check what that looks like in our shot. So yeah, I think he's big enough. Whoops. Maybe a little bit bigger. So I can select him, hit F, and then I'm able to rotate around him with my camera. Yeah, I think he might be a little bit bigger than what I actually had in my original setup. So I'm going to make him a little bit smaller. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, okay, something like that. We can change that later if we want. And then his animation. So if we want to get him animated, we just need to drag him into our sequencer. And then we should be able to find all the animations in here. So the one I used was, I think it was Taunt, possibly. This is the one. Emote, Taunt. So because we selected that with our timeline indicator was here, so it's starting here. So we can just drag that back. There we go. Okay, so that's playing back way too fast, especially as the template kind of, the camera is fast, slows down, so we want to get that sense of slow motion. Now, I'm not entirely sure how to do this, how to check where the slow motion needs to begin and where it needs to end. I don't know how to check that in Unreal. What I did was I checked in Cinema 4D. But let me just see if I can figure it out now. So if we go into the BF Medium template, we'll save the selected so we don't lose everything we just did. So this is the BF Medium template. If we open, oh no, that's the level. I just opened the level again. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. Inside this folder, in the animations folder, we have another sequencer, which is the actual template for the camera movement. That's feeding into our sequencer that we've just been using to set all this up. So is there a way that I can check? Yeah, I don't really know. I'm not sure. So I think what I'll do is I'll just close this down. Open back up the sequencer we were just working in. Make sure everything, click on the lock viewport to shots. Make sure everything is as it should be still. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up Cinema to check where this animation needs to slow down. Cool, so I've opened up Cinema. So let's see. The folder is here. We're going to go back to Project Files, Cinema 4D, and it's the Medium template. So I'm going to be using this. I'm going to be using Cinema 4D for a number of things for this animation. The rocks that are thrown by the boss, for example. I have a flag, so I'm going to need a clot sim. And also I need, obviously, the clot sim for the guy asleep on the sofa, the dreaming guy. So he has a blanket on him. So I'm going to be using Cinema for a number of things for the project. But for now, I just want to see where the camera slows down so that I know when to slow my boss down. So it's going to slow down on frame 13, and then it speeds up again on frame 105. So we want our boss to slow down. We want his animation to slow down on frame 13 and then go back to normal speed around frame 105, even though it doesn't matter actually when he speeds up, because keep in mind that around frame 84, that's when our guy wakes up, our sleeping guy wakes up. So then it's going to cut to a completely different scene of him in his living room. So that doesn't even matter. So all we're concerned about really is what happens on frame 13. And I'll cut it anyway, because I'm not sure if I'm even going to go down as far as setting up the guy waking up scene in this tutorial, because I think like the setting up the first scene is going to take long enough, but we'll see. So frame 13, we're going to tell this boss guy to slow down his animation. So overall, he's going too fast anyway. I want to slow him right down anyway. So I'm going to go and right click on the animation here. Make sure it's selected before you right click on it. Go to properties, and I'm going to slow this down to like 0.7. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, I think I like that speed for the starting off point anyway. So then we're going to go to frame 13, which is where the camera slows down. And we're going to right click, make sure that the animation layer is selected here. Right click, go to edit, and we're going to split the selection. So now we have two clips. One, you can see, well, they're both playing at a play rate of 0.7, but this one we're going to slow right down. This is the slow motion one. We're going to right click, go to properties, and we're going to go to bring it right down to like 0.3 or something like that. And let's just see what that looks like. So I think he might need to go a bit faster, because if he's going that slow, we're not going to have time to cut to our living room guy. Our living room guy, our sleeping guy, is going to come in around this frame. So this does need to be faster. So I'm going to right click again to go to properties, set this to like 0.5. Let's see now. So yeah, now he has plenty of time to throw the rocks. Might even slow him down a little bit. Go for the happy medium, 0.4. Let's see if that is going to give us time for him to throw the rocks. Yeah, I think we need to go back. So I'm going to edit undo that. And we're going to leave it at 0.5. So I should have checked what I actually had it at in the previous setup. I think it was 0.5. Or maybe, I wonder, did I have... Yeah, I think I might have had him like ducking down. Let's have a look. Let's just open it up and see. That's the best way. So, I have it here. So he's already crouched down at the start. Okay. So he's already at this stage when it starts. Fair enough. So let me just get him to that stage first. So I'm going to undo all of what I just did. So I'm going to leave the play rate. I'll redo that. I want the play rate to be set at 0.7, the overall play rate. We just need to have it so that he's already ducked down by the time this starts. So he's like already like here. I think he's really ducked down when this starts. Yeah, he's already like super ducked down. He's getting ready to throw those rocks when this kicks off. Okay. So maybe not that much. Something like this. Yeah. And then it's going to slow down like there. So the slow motion kicks in just as he's kind of lifting up that big arm of his. So we need to bring this over to about here. Yeah, so that's about right, I think, from what I had in my previous setup. So I'm going to make sure the animation's selected, right click on frame 13, and go to edit and split section. And I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to go back to frame 0000, select this one, right click, and go to edit and split selection, because we don't need this one at the start, so we can get rid of that. And now we need to slow this right down. So this is going to go down to like maybe 0.3, like what we had it at earlier. Yeah, I think that's about right. And I think this needs to be even slower. So like, let's bring this down a bit to like 0.5 maybe. And we're going to have to drag this out. Yeah, something like that I think was how I had it. Felt like it was even slower than that. Let's bring it down even more. Properties 0.4. We're getting super close to what we have the actual slow motion part at. Let's see. So we'll bring this down then even more, I guess, down to like 0.2. Yeah, that feels better. Okay, so I'm going to go back to frame 0 here, and I'm going to select this, and I'm going to split the frame, split the section here, and delete this part at the beginning. So now we have it. So this one plays at 0.4, this one plays at 0.2, and then it's like frame 105. Not that this mattered for me when I was doing it, but we can do it anyway, where we're going, I think it's 105. Yeah, it's 105, where it kicks back into a faster speed. So right click on the animation layer, edit, and split the section. Then we're going to select this, go to properties, and set this to be 0.4. 0.4. So back to frame 0, and this is what we have. Okay, so that's that for our monster guy. So now we need our character, our actual guy who's on his sofa and he's dreaming. So I had him in his, so I used the Metahuman for this. Let's do a file save. And I wanted him to not have clothes on. So I just went into the, if I just grab my browser here, and hang on, I'll get another one here. Here we go. So if you go to Metahuman Creator, and you'll be able to open this up. This was just the way I went about making it so that this guy is just wearing his boxer shorts. You know, he's just wearing his underpants because he's asleep on his sofa and all that good stuff. So I went into the Metahuman Creator, and you might have to request early access, but I've already done that, so I just launched in the app here. And I'm going to sign in to this. Okay. So version, the best we can do is 5.2, and keeping in mind that the version 5.3 that I'm using, it doesn't support hair at the moment. So if you bring in a Metahuman with hair, it's basically going to crash Unreal Engine 5.3. So that was one of the first hurdles I ran into working on this project. You know, I wanted to use VDBs, so I had to kind of take a chance with it. Well, I could have used the plugin, but I wanted to just give it a go with the native support. So I did, and I was then faced with the tough decision of having native VDB support or a completely baldy, hairless Metahuman. So I went down the road and I chose the baldy, hairless Metahuman. This is the guy I actually went with, this guy. So he looks cool with hair, but he looked all right with a baldy head as well. Camera's far away from him anyway. So, but anyway, enough rambling. This is going to take a while for the session to set up. So I'll just pause it here and we'll pop back in once that's ready. So this is my guy. So you can just go to create here. And then find whichever guy you're going to use. I went with, I think his name's AO or something like that. It's actually quite slow for me to run this. Probably because I have Unreal playing in the background, but where is he? I must have skipped him. Oh yeah, there he is. So, Oi or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce that name. But all you have to do is click on him, and then it'll bring it up, and there's going to be options to remove his hair and stuff like that. But you guys will be able to figure that out. Just say create selected, and then you'll be brought into a different window with loads of options. You'll be able to take off his clothes and to take off his hair as well. So if I go into my one that I've already created, and if I go to body, you can see that I've just removed his clothes. It's all very easy to use, this stuff. You guys have probably messed around with this already. And I've removed his hair as well using the head part. Just selected none there as well. What I have to do as well is I actually have to go into my folder. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I do have to remove all hair. I think that includes his eyebrows as well. But again, it's not very noticeable when the camera is like really far away. So we'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, once you have him created, and I don't think you need to save or anything. I think once you've created your Metahuman in the creator, and if you go back to My Metahumans, then he'll show up in the My Metahumans, and then you should be able to bring him in from Quixel Bridge. So we'll minimize this, and we'll go now to Quixel Bridge. And if we go to Metahumans and My Metahumans, there he is there. So I'm going to do a save because I feel like this is the moment when I learned that the Unreal Engine 5.3 preview won't accept any kind of hair, not even eyebrows. So I think this is where Unreal might actually crash on me now. But anyway, we'll select him, and we have him at highest quality. I thought I already... Oh yeah, I have him at highest quality. It's asking me to download an update. I'll just add him as is. I wonder. Okay, so that seems to be fine. So I'll add him as... Oh, it's doing something. Okay, I'll let this update download, and then we'll add him once that's done. I'll just pause this video now while that's updating. Okay, so that's updated. I wonder now, is that going to allow me to use this guy with hair? We'll soon find out anyway. I'm doubting it, but we'll see. So I'm going to add this in to the project, and we'll see now if Unreal freezes up or not. Okay, so it looks like that's added in. It says my lighting needs to be rebuilt. I'm going to ignore that for now. Let's go to Content, Metahumans, and this guy. And here he is. So we'll just click and drag him in. So a bunch of missing plugins it's given me, so I'm going to enable all of these. And we need to restart. What I'll usually do is I'll wait for, what's this? Preparing animation sequences. Preparing textures. So I might let this load up before I restart. Is it even moving? Looks like it's not. Okay, so I'll restart now and we'll see what happens. So I'm not sure if Unreal has crashed or something. I can't really click on anything now, and it's been at this waiting for skinned assets to be ready. It's been at 0% for quite some time now. So I don't know if I have actually crashed or what. Task Manager tells me it's not crashed. So I'm going to just leave it here, sit for a while, and I'll give it a chance. And then if it isn't doing anything in the next 10 minutes, I'll I'll probably do a Control-Alt-Delete and just close it down and see what's going on. Okay, so this looks like it's crashed. It's not doing anything. It's not letting me click on anything. So I'm just going to end task and see. It doesn't say it's not responding. It could be just me being impatient. Like, it hasn't really been 10 minutes since I said I was going to wait 10 minutes. It has been about 6 or 7 minutes though. So I'm just going to end task now and we'll see how we get on once we open it back up. So back into Epic Games Launcher. I'm just going to grab that file path. So it's the boss fight, project files, Unreal Engine 5.3. I'm just going to copy this so I can browse for it. Once we launch, so I'll browse and I'll paste that in. It's probably already the right one, but just to be safe. So it's Unreal Engine 5.3. This is the one. Okay. So let's see. So if we'll see what happened. See if everything's still as it was. We'll just open up our sequencer and lock the viewport to the shot. So everything is good as we left it. So let's try again now to bring in the Metahuman. So Metahumans, and let's try and bring him in again. Looks like I might have crashed it again. So it could be that I need to just, because I was hoping that whatever update I did on the Metahuman in Quixel Bridge, I was wondering if that was the update needed to be able to use Metahumans in 5.3 without having to delete all his hair and stuff. But it seems to be crashing it every time I bring it in. So again, I'll give it another 5 minutes and see what happens. And if that doesn't work, then we're just going to have to move into deleting every reference to hair in the... Oh, wait, something's happening now. Something's happening. Okay, so it worked this time. So I'm just going to pop him there. And let's just unlock the viewport here from the shots. And let's see what this is looking like. Okay, so we have him and he has hair. He has eyebrows anyway. So I wonder, is it now possible to use metahumans with hair in 5.3? I don't know. There's one way to find out, and that's to do a file, save all. And then I'm going to close down everything. And I'm going to open it up again. And if it doesn't crash, then it looks like that update fixed the whole hair issue with 5.3 and metahumans. So this is the one. Let's open that up. Let's see how it gets on. Is it going to crash? Yes, it's going to crash. Okay, so this is what was happening when I was trying to set this up, and I was wondering what was going on. So it turns out I have to delete every reference to hair, at least most references to hair. So I'll just send and close. So if I go into, let's close this for a second. If I go into my project files, into content, and metahumans. So we have some references to hair that we're going to be deleting. So I can't quite remember which ones I had to delete. So let me just open up my previous file that I worked on for this. So I'll go here and go to where? Project, here, project files and Unreal Engine 5.3, content, Metahumans, and here. So now I can kind of compare these. So we just have body face, male materials, and previews. Body face, female hair, male hair PFM, materials, and previews. So we're going to get rid of these so that we're, you know, so I'm just copying what I did before. It was kind of a process of trial and error. I didn't really know what to do. I knew I had to get rid of hair somehow. But we'll delete these. So now we just have body face, male, materials, and previews. Body face, male, materials, and previews. Okay, and I'll check inside in common, the common folder. And it looks like they're all the same. So I don't think I had to delete anything from the common folder. So now if we just can close this one down, this is the one we're working in. And let's open up Unreal Engine again. And I'm going to browse again and open this up. And now it shouldn't crash, hopefully, because I deleted those references to the Metahuman hair. So that's where Unreal 5.3 is struggling at the moment, but it's only in preview, so I'm sure they're going to fix that once they go for the full release. Okay, so now you can see it loads up and everything's fine. The only thing is this guy is smooth as a baby's bottom. He has literally no hair on his body whatsoever. Let's move the sun around so we can see. Control L, by the way, just click on the sky area, just hold down Control and press L, or hit L on your keyboard. So you can see like he's as bald can get. He doesn't even have a bit of peach fuzz on him, but that's fine. That's fine for us, for what we're doing. Camera's nice and far away from him, we're not going to notice. We just see a guy, he's sleeping on a sofa. Okay, so we have our characters in there now. What else do we need to do? We need to find the animation for our metahuman. So animating the metahuman is not as easy as animating this guy. We actually have to find specific animations where he's dreaming. So I did that inside of Mixamo. So I'm going to open up Mixamo here. And I'll log in. So the animations I used for him dreaming was sleeping. I think it was like, well, we'll try sleep anyway. I think there was sleep. So he was like laying down, but it was like, yeah, this is the one. So it's like a seizure. So I wanted it to look like he was having a bad dream. Obviously, he looks like he's possessed there by a demon. But what I'm able to do is just bring the overdrive right down. And we can also slow down the speed of the animation inside of Unreal Engine as well. So this is what I was using. And to be able to get this animation onto our metahuman, there's a few steps you have to do. So the first step is to go to a website called Mixamo Converter. Mixamo Converter. So I have it here. I think this is it, Mixamo Converter. And we're going to be downloading the Mixamo Converter, I suppose. Just make sure to copy this. This is the unzip password. You're going to need that for unzipping the files. but I have already done that. So if I just minimize this and we go to Mixamo converter, and I have it here. So this basically just converts Mixamo animations so that we can use them on our metahumans. So if we just say click here to continue, and then we can enter the conversion process. So we're going to grab the first step. So there's a whole like guidelines of how you use this. The user manual is here. But what we're going to do first of all is we're going to grab this fella, the SK mannequin. And it has to be him. I think it has to be him anyway. So we're going to upload this to Mixamo. So I'm just going to open up the Mixamo window here. And I'm going to click on upload character. And I'm going to drag in my SK mannequin here and upload that. So that just takes a minute to upload. So now you can see we have our SK mannequin here from UE4. This is the UE4 SK mannequin. So click on next on that, and now we can apply this animation that we just selected will be applied to him. So what we have to do next then is we can download him. I don't think we need to do anything with the arm space. I think that's good to go. So we can download him. So the overdrive, we brought that down to 0. So now we just click on download. We don't need the skin. We're going to bring the frames per second down to 24. Keyframe reduction set to uniform. And then let's download that. So that's going to download away. If we go back to our Mixamo converter, it'll tell us that we need to export animations to the incoming folder. So we open up that. So I have one in here already. I'll just delete that. So this is the incoming folder. So we go to our downloads folder. And we can drag this lane seizure animation that we just downloaded into our incoming FBX. So if we go back to the Mixamo converter, we can go scroll down and we can click here to convert the animations. So we have one animation in the incoming, the one we just popped into that incoming folder. So we have one of one animations ready to be converted. Just click on that. And that is converted. So now we open that up. And that's in our outgoing FBX. So you can see that I also have a few others that I've converted, but this is the one we're concerned with. So I think next we just need to bring this into Unreal. So go to your content drawer, and we're going to go to content. Let's create a new folder. And we call this Mixamo incoming. And let's just drag in our lane seizure.ue into the folder that we just created. For the skeleton, we're going to be using the... Oh yeah, okay, so we skipped a step. So let's cancel that. We need to... Yeah, go away you. I'm going to close down displace actors for a second. What we need to do is go to add and import add features or a content pack. We need the third person content pack. So let's add that to the project. So that's going to give us our mannequin skeletons and all that stuff. So that's done. So we're going to try that step again. So the outgoing FBX, we just converted this. We're dragging this into the folder that we just created. Mixamo incoming folder. Let's drag this in. And now we'll be able to select the SK mannequin skeleton. I think it is. SK mannequin skeleton. And click on import. And I think that that has come in already. So if we open our content drawer, we have it here. So that's it. That's our seizure animation. It's meant to be a nightmare, bad dream animation. But that's come in now. So what we have to do now is retarget this to the Metahuman. So what we first need to find out is, I'll just do a file save all. What we first need to find out is the body type, the mesh type of our Metahuman. So if we edit this BP blueprint of our guy here, and we scroll down to, let's see, I suppose body would make sense. And just take note of this. So it's M med NRW body. So I'll just minimize that or bring that over to my other monitor there. So it's M med NRW body. Just keep an eye on that. And then what we can do is we can go to our content drawer and go to all. Let's search for RTG. And we're going to be using the RTG UE4 mani to UE5 mani. Let's open that up. Have it here. And we're going to change the target preview mesh to the MED NRW, I think it was. MED NRW body. So that's our Metahuman there. So then we need to go to Asset Browser. And if we double click on this lane seizure, now you can see what that is going to look like on our Metahuman. So that's looking good. So with this selected, we can just export the selected animations. And let's create a new folder for that. So if I go to content, and right click, create a new folder, and we can just call this animations for our Metahumans. And export that. Cool. So now if we just minimize this or close it down and we go to our content drawer, we can go to our content. Let's just clear our filter here. And we're going to go back to open up our medium sequence, BF medium sequencer. So now what we can do is drag our BP AOI, our Metahuman, down into the sequencer. And we should be able to now, if we delete the Metahuman control rig and go to the, I think probably, yeah, body, animation, and if we search for sleeping, what was the animation called again? Laying. Okay, so if we search for laying seizure, animation, and laying seizure, so we can pick that. And now, so sometimes it doesn't show up. So a quick fix for that, I think, is to just close it and open it up again. So now you can see it's popped in. I don't know why that happens. Just kind of a glitch, I suppose. So if we now go to our guy, and you can see that our animation has now been applied to our Metahuman. So we just need to rotate him So if I grab the rotate here, and I can rotate him to by 90 degrees, and now you can see that we have that much setup. So we have our characters in there. The lighting is horrible there. We're going for nighttime anyway. That's the way I set my project up, but I'll just do something about this for now. So yeah, so that's that light doesn't look any bit improved. Anyway, we don't need to worry about that now. We have our boss animation set up, and we have the animation of our guy sleeping. Now, as I said, that is going really fast. He looks like he's possessed. So we can bring down the play rate of this down to like 0.5 or something like that. So it looks like he's more so kind of actually dreaming or having a nightmare instead of having a seizure. So let's do a Control S and save that. Do a save all. Okay, so what we can do now is bring in the furniture. So the sofa that he's sleeping on, and we can have a play around with that. Now, the furniture pack that I use, it was actually free in the Epic's game marketplace. It was free for the month. So there's no way you guys are going to be able to get it unless you've already added it to your library or your shopping cart. So it was the Meta furniture pack. So alternatives are you're gonna have to try and find some other furniture if you don't have it, or if you have Cinema 4D. There are tons of, sofas, chairs, and all that good stuff in the asset library. But it's not going to be the exact same, but that doesn't really matter as long as you can find something. You're going to want something with a cushion, pillow. Okay, so you have like pillows and cushions and stuff like that. And there's chairs as well, and coffee tables and all that good stuff. So yeah, again, unfortunate if you don't have the Meta. I think it's called, if I just go into my library here, and it is, which one? This one, the Meta Furniture Pack. So this one's really good. It has a ton of high quality bits of furniture. So I'm going to add that to my project. Go to library here, and I'm going to grab this. I'm going to add it to the correct project. So I'm going to search again BF template and make sure it's the 5.3 one. So that's loading itself in, and it's in. So we're going to go into Unreal again. We're going to go to Content Browser, Content, and find the Meta Furniture. If we go into Furniture, maybe not Furniture, Levels, and we're going to open up Showcase. So we'll just do a File Save All. And let's open up the Showcase. So this is just a bunch of set up living rooms that we're going to be able to grab stuff out of. So I used this one. Yeah, this is the one I went with. So I'm going to grab each of these assets that I want to keep. So I'm just holding down Shift as I'm selecting. I think I got this table. I got all of these here. I don't think I got that table there. and this, and this, along with the rug as well. So just grab that rug. And that's pretty much everything that I got for the boss fight scene part. I grabbed a few extra bits then, obviously, for the living room, as in everything else, the walls and all that. But I'm just going to do a Control-C. Go back to my content browser, go to content or the BF medium, open that level up. We can just save that as we've just, the only difference is we've selected a bunch of stuff. And now we can just Control V, and that will paste everything in. Let's grab our move tool and just move this over to our guy. And we can go down closer to this and we'll be able to rotate. So rotate those around like so. And let's see, where do we want to? We want to position this sofa right where our character is going to be. So we'll just use our reference hero, he's called. So around here, we'll say. That'll do. We can get rid of him. We'll just turn his visibility off for now. And yeah, that's kind of the living room setup for this scene. So if we go back into our BF medium sequencer, now if we play that, so you can see we need to reposition the guy himself. But this is what we're dealing with at the moment. So we might want to center this sofa a little bit more. So I'm going to undo what I've just done. It's just so I can get my selection back. Why is that chair there? That chair should not be there. I'll bring that down in a minute. But I have my selection of everything back now, so I can just push this over. So it's snapping to the grid at the moment, so I'm going to turn that off. I don't want it to snap to the grid, turn that off so we can freely move this where we want it to be. I want my sofa to be smack center, we'll say, and frame 60. I want this sofa to be smack center in the middle of this action area. So like that. And now we can grab this and pull this down. I don't know why it's up there. Let's just hop out of here, hit. Let's go and see where this is. Bring this to where it should be. Hit F to focus on the selected object. And we'll check the Z coordinate of this. Oh yeah, it's zeroed out, obviously. So just zero that out. So this will snap to the floor. Hit space to switch to rotation, and we can just rotate that around as you see fit. So now that's in position. Let's have a look. Might just push that back a little bit. Where's my other chair gone? Hang on. Okay, what happened? Where did our chair go? Wait a second. We must have added a keyframe. Did we add a key? No, we didn't add a keyframe. That is strange. So my chair just disappeared now. Undo. See what happens. Okay, we have it back. I deleted it somehow. So now if we go back into our camera, it's gone again. Oh, man. That is a mystery. It's still there. I'm going to delete it. Yep. And I'm just going to duplicate the one that's not misbehaving. Hopefully that'll solve the issue. So I'm holding down Alt, clicking and dragging I'm going to rotate it a little bit, maybe push it back. Okay, so now we're good. We need to hide this fella again. He's hidden, and we can move our Metahuman into position. So he's going to be pushed in a little bit further and down a bit. So let's have a look at that. Okay, cool. So that's looking pretty good so far. So what I want to do actually now is just kind of move our Metahuman's head so that he's not like laid out flat, because it seems kind of unnatural. So I want to kind of maybe, you know, have his head kind of pointing up and maybe put this cushion underneath his head. Also, we're going to have to lower him down closer to the sofa, because right now he's... where did I go? Oh, don't know what I did there. I'll undo that. So I want to just lower him down a little bit closer to the sofa. Something like that. And yeah, so I want to bend his body upwards so that he's kind of laying in a more natural, I suppose, position that you'd lay if you're on a sofa. So we're going to go to our content drawer, go to, where are we going to go? Content and animation. So let's open this one up. And we want to find the bone that we want to rotate. So it could be the spine. If I just rotate this. Yeah, so it could be like that. I mean, it looks a bit uncomfortable with his neck being like that, but maybe if we just do it a little bit less. Just a very slight... Yeah, something like that, I guess, would be fine. And then we can put the cushion under it. So to save that change, we just want to say add a key. So now if we hit save, and I'll just move this over here for now. So now you can see his head is a little bit up. And we're going to be able to get a cushion now as well. We need to push him out a bit because you can see his arm is intersecting with the sofa. So we push him out a bit. Let's have a look at that. Still a bit of intersection as well. So what we could do is we can go back here and let's find his arm. So upper arm. And we want to kind of rotate. Let's just pause this for a second and just push this kind of away from the sofa. And let's add a key, see what that does. So hopefully his arm's not... it looks a bit unnatural. I don't know if your arm can actually hang down like that, but let's just save. We've already added a key, so you can see it down here. So if we save that, have a look at this now. So we're still getting that intersection. So I'm going to undo what I just did. And let's have a look. So we could just push him further out on the sofa. So if we just kind of push him out so his arm's not intersecting, his leg's going to be hanging out a bit. But, oh, I think I duplicated. we just pull him out a bit. He's out quite far. Are we going to notice that? Not really, we're not. We're not going to notice that. And now we're not getting any intersections. Let's push him in as far as we can actually push him. So the lowest part of the arm is kind of there. That's the part of the animation where the arm is closest to the sofa, right there. So we can just push him in ever so slightly, kind of like that. So he's not like hanging out too much, and we're getting very small intersections there that's hardly going to be noticeable from this distance. So that will do. And his leg doesn't seem to be sticking out that much either anymore. So the cushion, we're going to put the cushion underneath his head. I need to reduce the speed of my camera for this because it's moving too fast. So we're going to grab this cushion and rotate it around to about 70 degrees and then move it over to where his head is. Let's rotate it even more around this axis and bring it down. And I'm going to push it over under his head. Let's have a look at that now. Okay, so now it seems as if, you know, he's actually lying down and the cushion, he's interacting with the cushion. Hardly any intersections, noticeable ones with his hand, and his leg is still sticking out, but that will be okay. We're not going to notice that, and we're going to go and jump in now to do our cloth simulation because we're going to have a blanket. So I'll just do a file, save all. So we're going to be jumping in to do our cloth simulation. So we're going to have a blanket on top of him. It's going to be moving around as he is moving around. So to do that, we're going to be doing that in Cinema 4D. So we're going to need to replicate this. And by this, I mean the sofa and our guy moving around. So we're going to start with our sofa first. So let's grab all of these objects, and then we can right click here in the outliner, go to browse to asset. Let's just right click, they're all selected. We can right click, go to asset actions and export. So we're going to export these to, let's see. So we'll export these to an FBX folder. Oh no, we won't. We'll just go into Cinema 4D and we'll just export these here. Sofa. Do you know what? We don't even need to create a new folder. Just delete that. We'll just say sofa and cushions. Save that. I think that's all good. Just click on export. So now if we jump into Cinema, what we can do is we can go to File, Merge Objects, and we just need to find the, where is that? Cinematic animation, boss fight. Okay, I don't even know where the file path is. Bear with me for a second. So it's here. I'll just Control C this. Looks like, yeah. And, okay, so I have it here. So I saved it into the Cinema 4D folder. I should have actually created a folder. I'm gonna cut this out, go into my project files. I'm going to create a new folder and just call it sofa. Let's paste that in there. Just to keep everything organized so we know where it is. So we'll go File, Merge Objects, and then I'll paste the path that I just copied. Oh, did I not export that? Let me just try this again. Talk about making an anthill out of a... Okay. So I'm going to grab the sofa and the cushions, because this is what we want to export. And we can right click here, go to Browse to Asset, and here they are in the content browser. So we're just going to right click, go to Asset Actions and Export. So let's go and find a place to export these two. I just want to check where I am. So Unreal Projects, Boss Fight Tutorial, Starter Files, Project Files, and I'm going to create a new folder and call this Sofa FBX. So save. I'm going to copy this file path first and just save that. That's all good. Export that out. Jump into Cinema now and we go File, Merge Objects. I'm going to paste in the path that I just copied and we're going to bring this in. Click OK. And let's see. Okay, so that hasn't brought in our sofa as I thought it would. Oh, okay, it did. I don't know what this is. Let's just move this. I think is it this one? Okay, so we'll delete that. Okay, so it looks like it's just brought in the sofa. So we might have to do each of these separately. I did see an option for bulk export. I wonder, does that? I don't know what this is telling me. Just cancel that for now. Let's try a bulk export. So I'll deselect the sofa, and just now I just have the two cushion objects selected. So we'll right click, go to Browse to Asset, and we'll try a bulk export for this now. Asset Actions, Bulk Export. So we'll export this here. We'll just do another folder called Cushions, just in case it's going to overwrite anything. Select Folder and Export All. So now, if we go back to Cinema, go to File, Merge, and we'll go Sofa FBX, Cushions. What has it done? Has it given us... Wow, that's deep. That's a deep file path. But it looks like it's given us both the objects here. So we'll open this, just click on OK. But they're not coming in the same position, which is making it a bit more awkward for us. They are coming in the same size, so we can just maybe reposition everything. I suppose a better way to have done this would be to... Let's rotate this 90 degrees. I think we rotated the sofa 90 degrees, did we? Yeah, minus 90. So we'll do the same for this. Minus 90. Okay, so that looks about right. And just kind of put this into position. We're eyeballing this now, but it's not going to be exactly the same. So I suppose a better way to do this would be to merge this sofa and these cushions into one object. But I don't want to go and do that now in case I need to move them around. But I could duplicate these and then merge. But anyway, I'm just doing it this way for now because I've come this far. So we might as well just keep going with that. Okay, so we have those cushions in there. And now we need to grab this cushion, which we've already exported. We did our bulk export. So we go back to Cinema, go to File, Merge, and we're going to go and grab the cushion, the next cushion. Click OK. And let's pull this up. We can delete this. I don't know what those objects are. We'll rotate this minus 90 on the pitch and position this. Oh no, we don't do that because we actually moved this one around, didn't we? So this one now, hang on a second. So this one we need to kind of eyeball this and position it so our guy's lying on it. I remember we rotated it like 70 degrees. Doesn't seem to be correct though, so I'm going to go 90, bring it down a bit and pull it down here. Just try and get this as close to the head as possible. This one doesn't actually matter because the clot simulation, it's not going to interact with this. So this one doesn't even matter. And then we need to get in a replica of our guy. I'm not sure how to export the Metahuman with the animation from Unreal and bring it into Cinema. So what we're going to have to do is go into Mixamo. So I'm just bringing Mixamo over here, and so this is the animation that we use for our Metahuman, right? So we want to, I suppose, download this animation, but put it onto a body type that is more similar to the Metahuman for the simulation. So what we'll do is we'll go to characters, just get rid of this search filter here, and if we scroll down, there's a guy called Leonard, and we'll use him because he looks like he is wearing a hoodie, but you know, he looks kind of like it's a skin tight hoodie, so that'll do. And we need to search for the seizure animation. I spelt it wrong, did I? Lane. Oh, okay, I'm in characters. Need to search for seizure here. And it's this one here. Oh, it was already on him. What am I doing? So bring the overdrive down to 0, just as we had it when we downloaded it for the Metahuman. And then we can download that. We're going to go with skin this time. We want 24 frames per second, and that's fine. So let's download this now, and we can go into Cinema, go to File, Merge Objects, go to our Downloads, and grab, where is he? Is he downloaded yet? Go to Downloads. Okay, here he is. So let's just grab that, click OK, say no. So now we have this and this. We can grab the mesh and oops. We can grab all of the mesh objects. We don't need eyelashes, just get rid of those. Unnecessary step. But just grab, I'll get rid of the hair as well. Grab all of the meshes and the skeleton, hit Alt G to group everything. Now we're going to be able to rotate him into position. And we'll push him down and bring him out because he is quite far out in our animation. In UE5, I should say. Strange, the arm doesn't seem to come down in Cinema, but in Unreal, it does go down. That's strange. I wonder, is that something to do with the Metahuman rig or something like that? I don't know why that's happening. But it is. Shouldn't affect us for what we're doing anyway. But yeah, that's a strange one. Did I move the Metahuman arm down a bit or something like that? I can't remember. Anyway, that's okay. That shouldn't affect us too much. For the frames of this, we need to simulate we need to simulate from frame 0 to frame 0119. So we need 120 frames of a simulation. So we are first going to, well, first of all, we need to push him up a bit so that he's like in that cushion. I don't know how to bend his head, but it's not going to matter. I'm not sure how to edit Mixamo animations inside of Cinema, but it's not going to matter as long as he is kind of, the body is closer to the animation of his body is as close as we can get it to the one we have in Unreal. So we're going to create a cloth. Let's just, I just want to make sure that he's in the correct kind of a Z position, because that is going to make a difference, because, you know, the cloth's going to hit the cushions and it's going to hit his body, and it all has to kind of match up. So Z position, I suppose the X position is important as well. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. I'm just going to bring this over to my other screen. And I'm going to look down. So if I compare this to, this, it seems quite close. How do I go full screen on Cinema? Full screen on Cinema. How do you do that again? I used to be able, oh yeah, tab. No, that's not it. I don't know. I used to know how to go full screen. Let's just push this over. So yeah, that looks pretty close to what we have here. So the distance, I'm just looking at the distance from, say, his head to the edge of the couch here. It seems very close, or from here to here. And then the distance from like his foot to the armrest of the sofa is pretty close as well. Well, you can see there's a little crease here, so I nearly push him down a little bit more. And would I push him a little bit closer to this? I think that's fine. And then how far down on the sofa is he? So let's have a look at that. So our guy is kind of like, his back is just on the sofa. So if we go back to Cinema then, yeah, that seems pretty close. This guy's leg definitely is higher, or lower, I mean. I'm going to push him up a bit then in that case. So that looks a bit closer now again. Okay, so I think that's close enough. So let's set up this cloth simulation. Do a quick file save project as. Let's find, oh, moving stuff. Let's go and find the boss fight tutorial folder. And in project files, I'm going to create a new folder called C4D. Actually, I'm not going to do it here. And I shouldn't have created that sofa XPX. I'm going to put it into here. And I'll create a new folder called, actually no, I don't want to put it in the Unreal Engine project folder. Sorry now for all the confusion. I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to create a new folder called C4D. And I'm going to go and create this one, simulations, and this is going to be the blanket sim. Okay, so let's create a plane. Let's push this back out again. We'll create a plane. This is going to be our blanket. And we can push this up, make it smaller. And I'm going to push it like so. It's kind of like just kind of covering the half of his body, I suppose. So the way this guy fell asleep, he just kind of set it up. It'd be dangling off the edge of the sofa. And I might make it a bit thinner. Something like that. We can adjust this later if we need to. Let's check the segments. Hit NB on your keyboard. So we're going to have to increase the segments on this. So go to the Object tab and let's just bring this up to like 60 and 60. And yeah. So let's see how this goes. We can even put this into a subdivision surface. Or no, we don't need to do that. We can put it into a cloth object. I think that's what it's called. Cloth surface. So then that gives us like tons of polygons. So hit NA on your keyboard. And let's right click on this, go to animation, go to where are we going? Simulation tags. No. Where is it? Bullet tags. Soft body. Yeah, I guess it's soft body. Okay. And let's hit play on this and see what happens. Okay, so it's really slow. So I think I'm going to like reduce the segments on this just to see if we can speed this up a bit. Okay, so we need to add some cloth collider tags to our guy and our cushions and our sofa and all that. So let's start with the cushions, go to simulation tags, and what is all this nonsense? String not found. That is a glitch and a half, isn't it? Oh, we don't need it on that one. Let's put it on this one. I've never seen the likes of this before. String not found. Let's do a file save project. I'm going to go to a new project and let's see if we're still getting this. If I right click. Huh. That is so weird. Okay, so that's finished now, so we can scrub along and see this animation, this simulation in action. Cool. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to grab our subdivision surface object because we're going to be exporting this as an Alembic. So we're going to do so that we're going to be able to bring this into Unreal Engine. So just select this. We'll just do a file save project first. Make sure your subdivision surface object is selected. Go to File, Export as Alembic. And let's click on this. And we're going to go to Settings. Make sure that Selection Only is selected. Animation, we're going from frame 0 to frame 151. And that's it. So click on OK. And we're going to pick a place to save this. So we'll go into our project files, go to New, create a new folder, call it Alembic ABC, and blanket sim. We can save that. So that exports the Alembic. It was quite fast. So we're going to jump back into Unreal. And we now should be able to import in that Alembic. So if we go to our content drawer, go to up to the content folder, and let's create a new folder, call it ABC, and let's find the Alembic that we just exported. Project files, ABC, and let's just drag this in. So this is our subdivision surface plane shape. Okay. Coming in with geometry cache so that we can play the animation, play the simulation. 0 to 151 frames, and we're just going to set this to Autodesk because it comes in with, I think it comes in with the correct orientation if you set it to Autodesk. So just click on import, and this could take a little chunk of time, so we'll just pause the video here and wait for that to come in. Okay, so let's have a look now and see what this is looking like. So we just dragged that in. Sorry now, but I just went into the ABC folder, dragged in that blanket sim Alembic, and to animate this, what we want to do, we'll worry about the positioning of this now in a second. We'll just get this animated. So we're going to drag the blanket sim into our sequencer. Then if we click on this and click on geometry cache, you'll see that we have it here. Just make sure we're dragging this up to the start. And we don't want to see the part where it falls. I think that was like the first 22 frames. So we're going to go and get rid of like up to about frame 22. So let's see. Frame 22. Hang on a second now. I'm just doing this arseways. Frame 22. So what we can do is go to frame 20. Okay, go to frame. I believe it's frame 22 when it kind of like, yeah, that's when our guy starts moving around on frame 22. So we can right click on the, I think we can cut this. Let's see. Come on, right click is not working for me. Go to edit and trim split section. So let's just delete that part and bring this out here. And let's see. So one thing is we need to slow this down, right? So if we go to our guy, our Metahumans animation, this is currently playing at a rate of 0.5. So hopefully, if we do the same for our blanket sim, because remember in cinema we didn't slow it down at all, it was just playing at the normal rate. Whereas in UE5 we have our Metahuman with the same animation, but it's playing at a rate at 0.5. So hopefully now if we go to our blanket sim, right click, go to properties and change this to 0.5. Hopefully that will make sense and it will match up. So we need to just position this now first of all. Second of all, I suppose. Push this over. Let's try and get this right, kind of hanging over the sofa as it was. Bring it down. We can scale this up as well if needs be. So I'm just going to try and get it correct on his body. I'll worry about the cushions later. Let's just see if this is looking any way decent. So there is like the leg intersecting a lot. We'll pull it forward a bit. Let's just see if that, maybe pull it up. And I'm going to scrub along. Doesn't seem to be many interactions there. Now there is the whole case of this is like obviously sticking up. So, I mean, you could take a bit more time with positioning that and scaling it. I didn't actually try scaling it. Let me just try and scale it a bit and see if that helps. I don't think it will. We'll see. I'll turn off the scale snapping so we can just scale this a little bit. And let's see if we can position this a bit better. Yeah, so it isn't looking as good as I had it in, in my submission for this Pwnisher challenge. But I suppose it's a case of kind of messing around. If it doesn't look great here, you just kind of have to mess around with it, do the simulation again, and kind of trial and error, I suppose, until it matches up a lot closer. So you'll know that this isn't great, but just to save time, I'm going to move on. Okay, so I did a bit of playing with it, and what I did was, I'll just undo. I just played around with the scale a bit. So I kind of like went into my scale tool and I just scaled it down along this axis here. And I think that kind of made it a bit better. Yeah, so that was kind of like, I said I was going to leave it, but it was kind of annoying me. So I just kind of scaled it down a little bit so it doesn't look as rough. You know, we're getting some, we're getting some intersections, but it's a little bit better now. And also now what we can do is we can just push these cushions down as well so that they're not, there's no intersections there with those. So now, let's have a look at this. What is that shiny thing? Oh, it's just the light. So now it's actually not too bad. Not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. So it's just a matter of kind of you know, I suppose you could go back into Cinema, re-simulate as well. Another thing that would have helped us with this is if we brought in the sofa as one single object, so that we're not like trying to guess the position of the cushions. I think I might have did that in when I was doing this properly. But yeah. But look, it's not too bad. It'll do. It's not as perfect as I had it for my submission, but you guys get the idea. So for the material for this, we'll just do a file save all. And we're going to go to Quixel Bridge. And I'm assuming it's in my local because I must have downloaded it already. So I'm going to log in here off screen for a second. Okay, so it will be in here somewhere. It's just a matter of finding it. Yeah, so this is the one I use for my blanket. I mean, you guys can search through the collections, go to, you know, surfaces. There's like tons of fabrics that you can use for your own blanket if you don't want to use this one. I went with this one. I like the texture of it. So I'm going to download this. I think I downloaded it, yeah, in highest quality and add that to my project. So now if we just minimize Quixel Bridge, we'll just close this down. We can go to our content browser. I should have just actually dragged it in from the thing that I had. Anyway, Megascan surfaces and the materials. Sofa blanket. Oh yeah, blanket sim is the one. We want to drag it in here. Woven fabric, and we'll drag this onto that. So tiling, you know, you could say that's actually okay with regards to the tiling. But if you want to change the tiling so that, you know, the woven texture isn't as big, you can just open up the material and go to tiling, and you can reduce the value here, and that should either reduce or increase the value. Don't forget to save, but I think I'm going to leave mine as is. Yeah, okay, I think that looks good. Cool, so that's Clot Sim. So next, I suppose we could jump into doing the rocks being thrown sim. So that's our boss guy, and he's thrown these giant boulders. So we're going to jump into doing that next. Okay, so rock sim, we're going to hop into Cinema. We're going to open up the boss fight Cinema 4D project. If we hop into project files, Cinema 4D, the medium template. And this is what we're going to be using to set up our rock sim. So let's just deactivate the camera. And we're going to grab a rock first of all. So if we go into the content drawer, just type in rock. And we can grab one of these. Zoom in a bit. I think I used this one. Probably this one, actually. Let's grab that one. Switch this to Redshift just so we can see what we're doing. And where are we gone? Let's zoom in on this. I think that's the right one. It doesn't look like the right one. I think it was this one. Maybe this one. Delete that one. Yeah, that's the one. So we're going to use this rock. I'm going to create a new camera just because the camera that was given with the template is all messed up. And we're going to scale this up let's get rid of that, scale that up, move it up a bit. Okay, so this is our rock. We can delete the materials from it. And we can rotate this as well, just so we get the flat side on the floor. Doesn't have to be perfectly on the floor, just kind of close to the floor. And we want it to be thrown from here over to here. So we're going to add a, if we right click on this, go to bullet tags, rigid body tag, let's hit play, falls down to the ground. So we want it to have, what is it? We want it to have a custom initial velocity of, so this is the X, this is the Z, this is the Y. So we want to have a custom initial velocity of something along the Z. So we go 200 and see what happens. We hit play. So that's not enough. We go like 5,000. And then we want it to go up along the Y like maybe 3,000. Or minus 3,000, that should be. So that's way too much. Let's bring this down to 2,000. That's too high. We go to minus 1,000. Let's look at this in the camera. So we needed to go higher, so we're going to go minus 1,600. And we don't want it to go that far, so we go 1,700 on the Z. Something like that looks good. And we wanted to have some initial angular velocity. So I don't know which axis we wanted to spin in. Not that one anyway. Possibly this one. So our guy is like chucking it. So his hand is going whoosh. So you imagine it would have some backspin because he's chucking it like that. So we're going to go for some backspin on that. So that's forward spin. We want the opposite. We're going to go for minus that value. Let's have a look at that. Something like that. Maybe not as high, so we'll go like minus 1,400. Yeah, that looks good. And we want it to connect with the ground, as in bounce off the ground. So we're going to go to our floor, right click, go to bullet tags, collider body. We play that now. It's going to bounce off the floor. So what we can do now is we go to our rigid body tag. And we go to cache, bake object. So that's already baked, so now we're going to be able to scrub. Oh no, that didn't work. Clear all cache, bake all. Try that one. There we go. So now we can scrub backwards and forwards so we know that this is cached properly. We're going to be able to export this as an Alembic and bring it into UE5. So we'll grab the rock, just select it, just do a file. We'll do a file, save project. That's fine. We'll go for File, Export, and we're going to go for an Alembic. Presets, settings, make sure this is just ticked. Animation is going from 0 to 119. Cool. Let's go and find our ABC folder. So we have our blanket sim in there. This is going to be our rock large 1. So that's saved out. So now if we jump into UE5, we can go to our content drawer and go to our content folder. ABC folders here. We're going to just bring this in. So let's find the Alembic, which is here. Didn't know I put an asterisk in there. We'll drag this into UE5. So we want to bring in the geometry cache. It's the stone shape, and we're going to set the preset to Autodesk Max just for the orientation. Let's import that in. We give that a second to import. I'll pause the video while it's importing. No, I won't, because it was that quick. Okay, so we have our rock large Alembic. We'll pop it in over there. Let's bring it over to the sequencer, and then we can click on this little plus and grab the geometry cache. Let's make sure that this starts at the beginning. And now we have our rock animation. So this needs to be brought down to the ground. Right there. Cool. So now it's just a case of lining this up with our monster. So we'll do that now. By the way, if you middle mouse click on your sequence, you're able to grab and move it up and down. So we'll grab this, hit F on our keyboard to zoom into it. And let's move this back to our monster. Hit F again. If you hold down Shift while you're moving, the camera moves with it, which is very handy. We want this to kick in just as the monster or rock guy kind of throws it. So we'll click on this, drag this forward a bit. So this has to be here. So he's going to grab it and then chuck it from here. Let's right click, go to go to properties, and we'll bring down the play rate to 0.5 because that's what we've done with everything else. That might be too slow though. Let's just see how this goes. Bring it closer to his hand. So that's way too slow. We have to change that back to like 0.8 or something like that. That looks a bit closer. Hit space, or grab your rock first of all. Hit space and rotate this, not him, the rock. See what that looks like. There we go. So that's going way too high. So we have to, let's see. Okay, that's not going to work because it's not going to bounce on the ground anymore. So we'll undo what we just did. Check that out. Okay, so that rotation that I did at the start, don't do that because it just messes with the point at which it hits the ground. That looks pretty good. So let's now apply a material to this rock. So we're going to go into our content drawer. I'm not sure if we have a material. We go and file, save all, and we'll go to Quixel Bridge. And let's see what we have in our local. So I probably have something downloaded. So I'm going to grab this mesh, and I'm going to, in Nanite, I'm going to add it to my project. Now it might ask me to sign in. Maybe it won't. Okay, it didn't, so that's good. I'm going to use this material for the rock. So I'm just going to move it over here for a second. This is the material. I'm going to drag this material to this rock. And now we have a rock material. Now there's no UVs set up for this, but it doesn't matter because once we set this to nighttime, it's not going to make much of a difference. Cool, okay. I do want this to kind of go more to the right, camera right, because it looks like he's throwing it that way. So if we go back to here, deactivate the camera, let's hit F on our keyboard and rotate this ever so slightly, 10 degrees. We'll see if 10 degrees is too much. That is too much. So we'll undo that. And we're going to rotate it even less than 10 degrees. Let me grab it, hit F. And let's deactivate the snapping for rotation, just ever so slightly. See how that goes. Slight rotation. That's a bit better. Yeah, okay. I'd say even less than that. So I'm just going to go and zoom in on this rock again. Go back to the first frame. F on your keyboard to zoom in. Make sure it's selected. And we'll just reduce the rotation so it doesn't go so far right. There we go. Okay. So it's going to bump into the couch. We don't want it to do that, so we're going to do a bit more of a rotation. So if we just scrub along, let's put it around there. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, I think that's good enough. Is there a slight intersection of the rock and the sofa? Let's see. There is. Oh, I don't think there is actually. It's very close, but there isn't actually any intersection. So that will do. Okay, cool. So that is it for our first rock. Throw. How does it look when he throws that up? Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so that's the first rock. So then we have to set up the second rock in Cinema 4D. So we're going to do that now. Is the spin enough on that, though? There needs to be more spin, doesn't there? There's hardly any spin. I mean, backspin. Okay, I think it's fine. But, like, I would put more backspin on that. Like, it definitely looks like it needs it. A little bit more backspin. So I go back into Cinema and I would increase the backspin. So I go to my cache, clear all cache, dynamics, and I would reduce this initial angular velocity even more. So you get something like that. Maybe even more, I'd say. So we get more backspin. Yeah, exactly. So I would go now and export that out. So I'd cache that. Bake all. Yeah, so we have that nice backspin. I'd export this again with the following settings. Click OK. Project files, ABC. This is going to be the second version of what we just did. So we're going to call this 2. That's already exported back into UE5. And we're going to go to our content drawer, ABC. Let's grab the second version of this that we just created, drag it into UE5. Geometry cache is fine, and that is already set. Import that in. Back to our content drawer. And then we're just going to do this whole thing again, just with a better backspin, a more believable backspin. So we'll drag this rock in, put it in the right place. Hit F to zoom in to that. And let's position this correctly. So what we can do is we can grab the coordinates from this. So if I just like right click, copy, go to this, right click and paste, it should be in the same position as this rock. And then if I go to the rotation of this, right click copy, and this one, right click paste, then it will have the same rotation. Then we want to drag the second one into the sequencer. Find it, plus geometry cache. Now it should work out for us. So let's play that. Okay, I think that worked out well. So let's delete this one, number 1. Yeah. And delete it from here as well, from our sequencer. We don't need that anymore. So now we have that nice backspin, which makes a bit more sense. Cool. Okay, so that's rock number 1. So now we're going to do rock number 2. We'll just do a quick file, save all. Okay, so first let's actually put the material back onto the rock. So just select that, and I have it here. It's the beach boulder mesh that I downloaded. The materials here, so we can just apply that there to our rock. I think instead of like going back to Cinema and doing the whole rock thing again, just to save time, because you know this is already a very long tutorial. Now you guys are welcome to jump back into Cinema, mess around with the the settings in Cinema and make a new rock. I'm just going to duplicate this rock. So I'm just going to Control C, V. So we have two rocks. This is the rock that I just created or copied. So we're dragging this into the timeline, and we're gonna let's bring this timeline indicator to around here. We're gonna track the geometry cache. So now we're gonna have two rocks. They're right beside each other, so you're not gonna see them, but we do have two rocks. So let's go back to just where this geometry cache animation kicks in. Let's deactivate our camera, and let's just hit F to zoom into the rock. And let's have a look. So I'm just moving the geometry cache animation so it starts a bit later than the first rock. So it's going to start even later than that, or sooner than that. Let's first position this. We're going to position this to the left hand of our rock monster. So that looks pretty good. Maybe we need to push it down a bit. There we go. I think that could be good. Let's have a look at what that looks like. First rock. Second rock. Yeah, that works. Oh no, that's not going to work because we pushed it down. And obviously it's going to go through the floor that way. So that's not going to work. So I'm going to undo that. Let's undo that so it's no longer being pushed down. Let's see where it goes now. It should now hit the floor, and it does. So we can't push it down because then it's going to go and, you know, it's not going to interact with the floor correctly. So let's see about just trying to move it along the other axes, not pushing it down. So we're going to have to push it back because it's kind of going too fast. What we could do is slow it down actually in the properties of the animation, of the geometry cache animation. So if we right click here, go to properties. Let's bring the play rate down to like 0.6. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's better. And we're going to have to do the same because this is supposed to be in slow motion anyway. So if we have a look, yeah, that's better. It's a bit too slow, I think. So back to properties, and we're going to go to like 0.8. So we're going to have to do the same for this one as well. Because, you know, we want the rocks. They're both like the same size, so that it makes sense they both be traveling at the same speed. So this one, what do we do for this one? I think we did 0.8, didn't we? Yeah, 0.8. So we'll do the same for this one. We'll do 0.8 on that as well. We might have to reposition that possibly. No, that seems okay. Okay. And we need to, I think we need to rotate this one because it's like intersecting the sofa there. The other one's okay. The one in the middle like lands kind of okay. It does intersect the table a little bit. But I'm going to ignore it because, you know, in my original submission, I did create the part where the guy kind of wakes up even before this rock touches the ground. So I'm not going to be doing that in this part, potentially in a part 2, but for now I'm just focusing on this scene. But I think that looks pretty okay, aside from the rock kind of intersecting this sofa. So if we go back to the beginning, let's deactivate the camera there, and let's go into this rock. Look at this rock. We can rotate this ever so slightly. Now if we have a look at that. So now we rotated that way too much. So undo that. Let's go back to the rock. Rewind it. Hit F to zoom in. So I'm going to redo. Undo. So rotate that very, very slightly. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, okay, so that just needs a very slight rotation. Same could be said for that rock as well, because it's intersecting the table. Let's have a look, see where this other rock goes. That one's fine. That one just kind of intersects the table a little bit. We could maybe just push the table over a tad. Yeah, and it is kind of going down into the floor as well. So if I just kind of scrub along, I want to push this up ever so slightly so that it's gonna, yeah, so it's not gonna intersect the floor. And as for it hitting the table, I might just ignore that, because it's like, it's very slight. So I'm just going to ignore that for now. I might come back to that. But what you could do is rotate it, just like we did with the other one. Rotate it ever so slightly so that it actually is going to land in a different spot. But now it's kind of, I'll undo that because it's definitely like intersecting the sofa there. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that. You can see what's going on as well with regards to the rocks are kind of like, they're kind of pausing there. So this is set to loop. So when it goes back to the loop, the rock, this one we're talking about, this one, it's just going to kind of stay there until the geometry cache animation kicks back in. So that will show up weirdly in our render once we're rendering this out. So we need to basically fix that. So if we go, so we need to find the rock large in the outliner. So click on it and go to your rendering tab and just scroll down to find the actor hidden in game. Turn that, make sure, well, that should be turned off, obviously, because we want to see the rock. But we're going to add a keyframe. So that keyframe is going to appear down here in our sequencer. So now we have this, it's hard to see. Let me just pull that up. Oh, what have I done? Okay, so now we have this, it's really annoying, that thing getting in the way sometimes. So we have this visibility switch. Now we can turn it off and turn it on. So it's going to be off right about here. Then if we're going to add a keyframe, well, it's already added. We go to the next frame, and now it's going to be on. So now it's never going to get stuck in the middle of our shot or anything like that, like it was previously. I do want to move that a little bit because it just doesn't feel like it's coming out of his hand, that rock, at the moment. So this one, not that one. That one looks good. Yeah, this one. I want to pull it back a bit. See if that helps at all. It doesn't really. I mean, you want to kind of be pushing it down, but we can't do that. So we're just going to have to make do. I think that might have improved it a little bit. It still looks kind of naff. I wonder if... No, that wouldn't work. Well, I suppose you could potentially animate it up a little bit once it kind of goes off the screen. Let's see. Okay, so let's just try that. Probably messing now, but we'll see. Because it is looking, it's not looking like it's coming out of his hand. So we're going to want to, so let's push it down. Let's push it down. I know we said we can't push it down. I'm just going to try it and see if this works. Now, I probably would have saved time just going back into Cinema and doing a new sim for this, but too late now, I guess. So let's push this down. So that's going to look more as if it's coming out of his hand, I hope. Push it down even more. Even more again. Forward a bit. Yeah, so that's going to look like it is coming out of his hand. It needs to be pushed over left. How do you push it over left? There we go. And bring it up a bit. Yeah, okay, and over even a little bit more. Okay, so that looks good, but now it's not going to look good once it lands. It's going to be like completely intersecting the ground. So just as it kind of flies off screen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to animate it up. So it might look weird, but it might look okay as well. So that's going to go off screen about there, we'll say. So now I want to track the transform of this. I'm going to set a keyframe on the location of the Z location. And before it comes back into shot, I'm going to have this fly up. So up to, I think we're going to go to like 0. See what that looks like. Is that going to then? Yeah, so that worked actually. See what it looks like now. Okay, cool. So that actually worked. So a little bit of smoke and mirrors there to get that to work. So that's cool. It is intersecting a lot again now with our sofa. So what will we do? So let's just go all the way to here and do this the easiest way that we could have done it at the very start. Just rotate that the way we want it to be now. Okay, cool. So now it seems to be avoiding everything. It might be touching the coffee table, but you're not going to notice that because it's in front of it. Okay. So I suppose what we can do next is kind of smaller, tinier rocks that are being like pulled up by the giant rocks. So we can go into Cinema now and just do a file save all, and we'll jump into Cinema and we'll do that now. Okay, so let's do that now. So we just open up the Cinema 4D file. We can keep working with the one, well, we need to keep working with the one that we just simulated with the big rock. So let's just hop into this camera. Again, the only reason I have this camera is because this one is all inverted and stuff. or the default one is inverted, I mean. But anyway, so let's just grab this stone and we'll click and drag. We'll just call this debris. And we can scale this down. And we can just clone this now. So I'm going to pop this into a cloner, hold down Alt while it's selected. And let's just decrease the size along the X, the Y, and the Z. We need to add another layer here of clones so we can actually scale that down along the Y. And we can add some more clones, so we have a lot more. And let's turn on render instance as well, so we can, so we're not going to slow things down too much in Cinema. Let's bring this down as well, closer to the big rock. And let's just turn on our lines. So hit NB on your keyboard to turn on your lines, so we can see this mesh is way too dense. We don't need it to be that dense. So let's just deactivate the cloner for a second, and let's select this, hold down Alt, and let's find the remesher. So that'll automatically be added as a child as long as you were holding Alt to the remesh. And now we can just go and we can crank this all the way down to like a tiny value. Something like that. Because we don't need that dense mesh for these little tiny rocks. Let's turn back on our cloner. Or before we do that, actually, just middle mouse click on this. So you'll select this and all the children. Right click, go to connect objects and delete. So that just becomes a piece of geometry. And we'll turn back on our cloner now. And let's add a bit of variation to the scale of this debris. So let's grab a random, make sure the cloner is selected, and then we're going to grab a random effector. And we don't want to randomize the position, only the scale. Uniform scale. So let's just mess with this. Go like -1. And we'll scale down the main, the reference of the cloner so that everything's nice and small. We can crank up or no, let's leave that. I don't have too many of these because I'm just a bit worried that it'll crash Unreal. Maybe another one on the X and another one on the Z. Something like that. Maybe another one on the Y? I don't know. That could be too many. We'll go for it. We'll take a chance. We'll see how we get on. Let's just do a file save. And we want to see how this looks like. So when it actually plays, with dynamics and all that. So let's right click on the cloner, go to bullet tags and add a rigid body tag. So now we already have the rock simulation set up. So if we let's turn off our lines, NA, jump into our camera and just hit play. So now we have some debris rocking and it looks pretty good. So I guess we can export this as an Alembic now, and hopefully it's not going to crash Unreal. It shouldn't. I mean, we don't have that many polygons or clones. So we will give this a shot and see how we get on. So we're going to select okay, first of all, we need to bake this. So go to your cache. So bake all this time. I don't know. Yeah, okay. So that seems to have done it. So we just want to export the debris as an Alembic. So we're going to select the cloner. And we are going to, we'll do a file save project. I think it's the cloner we have to select and not this. Yeah, it's the cloner. Go to File, Save Project. We're going to go File, Export as Alembic. So for the settings, selection only, we have it selected. Animation, we're going from 0 to 119, and that's all good. Click OK on that. And we're going to save this out to our ABC folder. So this is debris, debris 1, we'll just call it. I think I'm not going to have a debris 2, but anyway. Probably just going to duplicate the debris from like what I did with the big rock, even though I did learn that it's probably quicker. But anyway, I don't have a second big rock to simulate a second debris with, so I'm going to have to duplicate it. But if you guys did go ahead and make a second big rock simulation, then definitely use that to create your second debris simulation, if that's making sense. So this is done. So we're going to jump back into Unreal. Let's do a file, save. We'll close down Cinema. And we will go to our content drawer. Let's actually dock in layout. And that popped up in the other screen. I'm just going to pop that there, my content browser. So now I have my sequencer here and my content browser, which makes it a bit easier. It doesn't keep disappearing. We're going to go to the ABC folder, and I'm going to find the ABC folder that I have my debris in. Just going to click and drag this into the UE5 folder. And we have all of our objects here. And we're going to set this to geometry cache as before. 0 to 119. That's all good. So click on import and let's just hope that this doesn't freeze. I'm going to pause the video because this will probably take a while, and we'll pop back in once this is done. Cool, so that's come in now. You can see it here, debris 1. So let's go, and I suppose we'll just drag this in. Let's go back to our sequencer, bring everything back to the first frame. And we can hop out of our camera for a second, and we can just position this. This rock as well, we need to tell this to be invisible before the animation kicks in. Same as we did with rock large 2. We'll do the same here. So just go to the frame just before it kicks in. And we're going to find it here. Go to rendering, and let's find actor hidden in game. So let's add a keyframe for that. So that's going to be invisible at the frame just before it kicks in. Oh wait, that should be there, I think. So we'll drag this back one frame. Oh no, it shouldn't. Ignore me. So that's fine. I just undid that. We're going to turn the visibility off, and then we're going to go forward one frame, turn it on, and add a keyframe. So that will be invisible when we want it to be. Cool, okay. So now the debris, let's get rid of this guy as well. He keeps popping back in. Just delete him. We don't want to see him anymore. Say yes to that. Did I? What did I delete? Hang on. This guy, delete. Yes, okay. Cool, okay, so debris. So we can hold down Shift and click and drag. That's actually quite slow though, so I'm just going to do it this way and hit F on my keyboard and go again. F on my keyboard, let's go back to frame 0. So we want to position this. Let's snap the rotation here by clicking on that little blue angular icon there. So we're going to rotate this 90 degrees. And before we position this, let's just drag this into the sequencer, and we want this to kick in at the same time as the rock large 2. So it's going to kick in there. We're going to track the geometry cache. And now, where is that going? Oh yeah, that's going the right way. Cool. So if we have a look at this from a bit further back. Cool. And all that debris is landed on the floor, it looks like. No, not quite. So let's bring it down a bit. Click on the debris, object, go to all. Let's bring this down. We want that to be touching the floor. Where's that going? Now it's going past the floor. So, is that going past the floor also? It's hard to tell. Let's just go and see. Yeah, it looks like they're just landing right on the floor. Go to forward one frame. Yeah, okay. So you just had to zero that out, which makes sense. Okay. So we have one. We need to position this. Make sure it's selected. You can hit F to zoom in. And let's just position this on top of our first big rock. Something like that is fine. And we're going to need another one. So let's just have a look at this first. Let's just play that. So we need to slow this down. We have rock large 2 playing at a rate of 0.8. So we're going to do the same for the small debris rocks as well. So right click on it, go to properties, and let's change this to 0.8. Cool. So what's this looking like? Okay, happy enough with that. And we need to duplicate this one. So Control Z, Control C, Control V. We have debris 2. We can drag this into the sequencer. And we're going to track the geometry cache. So we are going to right click on this one now. And we're also going to set the frame rate, the play rate to 0.8 on this one also. So now we have 2. We want to position this one. I'm holding down shift while I'm moving this now, so the camera's following me. Position this one. Where is the other rock actually? Well, let's see. It doesn't actually become visible until later on. There it is. So we're going to position this debris right on top of this one here. And we need to make this animation start just about there. So now let's see what this is looking like. Okay, cool. So let's hop back into our camera view now and see what it's all looking like together. So we're going to have to do the same thing with the visibility of both of these. So let's go back to the start of where this geometry cache animation kicks in on debris 1. We're going to go to the rendering tab and we're going to add a keyframe for actor hidden in game. Let's actually just go back to the previous frame, add a keyframe on the actor hidden in game, turn it off. Let's go forward 1 frame, turn it on and add a keyframe. And we're going to do the same for debris 2, which uses the debris 1 geometry cache animation. So debris 2, we're going to go back to the frame just before it kicks in, the animation that is. We're going to add a keyframe for this, and it's going to be turned off. Go forward 1 frame, and then turn it on and add a keyframe. So now we can actually watch this back. Okay, so we got some nice debris. It's raining down debris of all different sizes and stuff like that. To take this further, I never actually did it, but I never had Embergen. I should have downloaded the free trial, but it would have been nice to get some smoke clouds, smoky, dust flying around, which would have been really easy to do in Embergen. I'm guessing, I haven't used it, but I've heard it's quite easy to use, and you can then import the VDBs straight in. But anyway, so that's looking pretty good. I guess what we can do now is start kind of set dressing. So making this look more like an actual scene and bringing it closer to my actual submission. So we're going to bring in some rocks and stuff like that. So we'll just do a file, save all. So I want to just move the light around. I did use the Ultra Dynamic Sky plugin for my submission, but we're just going to use the regular sky for this. So the lighting, I had it like set to nighttime, but I might just mix it up this time, just try something new. Let's see, where is the sun? Sun, where are you? Show yourself. Okay, so it's over there, over to the left somewhere. Want to get it in the background. I guess it's behind those clouds. Oh, there it is. Okay. So let's have a look. Sun in the background could be kind of cool. Like the reason I set it to nighttime for my submission is because I like the rock monsters like lava. It really like glowed up in the nighttime. But we're going to try something different. There's no point doing the exact same thing twice in a row, I suppose, even though it's very close to being the exact same thing. Maybe something like that. By the way, I'm moving the sun by just clicking on any white area, holding Control and pressing L on my keyboard. And now I'm able to move the mouse around and move the sun around. So let's put it there for now. Still, the lighting is not great. I mean, move it around a little bit more. Yeah, that could be a little bit better. Yeah, something like that maybe for now. Like the rock guy doesn't look good at all. I'm gonna try that again. Okay, just gonna leave it there for now. The sun, that is. And now we can start dressing this set. So we're going to go and do a file save all again. Got to save, regular saves. Going to go to Quixel Bridge and I am going to go to my local folder because I've already downloaded all this stuff. So what you're going to need is the Icelandic rocky ground. So there's actually two of them, so that makes it confusing. But yeah, just find these in collections or search for Icelandic rocky ground. They'll come up and you'll be able to match them up with your eye. So those two, I'm going to grab this one, which is downloaded in Nanite. Add that to my project. And did it freeze? It's working on it, looks like. Okay, so that's added, and I'm going to add this one as well, which is downloaded in Nanite as well. And that will add any second now. Cool, okay. So let's go to the content and megascans, and we can just do a filter to just show static meshes. I've already got one set down here. So we're looking at the Icelandic boulder. I already have this beach boulder, which I downloaded. So I could drag that in, see what it looks like. Can't even remember downloading this, but I guess I did. Okay, so let's see you. What do you look like? Deactivate this camera. Hit F to zoom in on it. Okay, so I don't remember getting this. I don't think I wanted that either, so I'm deleting that. But what I do want is go back to Quixel Bridge. I guess it's a good idea for you guys to start downloading all this stuff because you're going to need it. There's no point downloading it as we go. So the other asset that you're going to need to download is this one, Beach Boulder. I think it's that one. Yeah. So this Beach Boulder here. So I'm going to add that to my project again. Might as well just do it all at the same time. Or at least for you guys, get this stuff downloading. You know, you can just download multiple assets at the same time and let that work away in the background while you're working with the first two that we downloaded, which would be these two here, because that's what we're going to start working with first. So Beach Boulder, search for that exact one. It doesn't have to be that exact one, but you know, something similar. And then I'm going to get this huge canyon sandstone cliff as well. So I'm adding that to my project as well, downloaded in Nanite. And I think that was pretty much all the Megascans assets that I downloaded. So yeah, cool. So let's start set dressing this up. So content browser, and we're going to drag in the S Beach Boulder. This is not the one I want. It's this one here. And let's start moving this around. And I'm going to rotate it. Not like that or like that, but like this. Yeah, something like that I think I had it at. And I'm in my sequencer just so I can see what I'm doing. Maybe push this over a bit. And maybe make it a bit bigger. So lock the scale and just scale it up. Push it over. Maybe have it about there, yeah. Maybe have it a bit more over. Yeah, something like that. Looks kind of cool. Then we're going to get some of these guys. So let's just filter static mesh again. We're going to have the Icelandic rock assembly 1 and 2. Now it doesn't say 1 and 2, but there's 2 of them. So let's drag this fella in, and we're going to drag in this fella as well. Let's deactivate our camera for this. And let's just start moving this stuff around. So I'm going to be using the 2 of these, kind of combining them and just messing around with those two, kind of like that. So I just duplicated those two at the same time, holding down Alt, clicking and dragging to do so, and just trying to like mix this up a bit so it doesn't look at all like it's repeating. Don't want to see any patterns. Rotate this one, rotate that one, and like so. And let's see what that looks like now. So let's just grab one more so we have it so it's a bit longer. So we'll grab like this one again. I use space to switch to my move tool. Hold down Alt, click and drag, and let's just rotate it somewhat. And now we have all of these. So let's hold down Shift on this one to get them all, and space to get our move tool. We can move that over. Let's see what that looks like in the camera view now. So we need to push it down a bit so we can still see our guy. Something like that. Looking pretty cool in the foreground. Looking pretty cool as opposed to cool. Let's hold down Alt, click and drag. Oh, what did I do? Just undo that actually. I might just group all these so we can right click, go to group, or just use Control G. So that's created our group. Now it's a good idea to name our groups, I suppose. We don't really need to worry about that. We're not going to have like loads of different groups. So let's just hold down Alt, click and drag. Now we can rotate this 180 degrees. And we can look in our camera, see what it's looking like. So we can start moving this around. Where's our group? Let's get our group, search for group. So it's the second one. And yeah, bring that back. Kind of pull it up a bit. Something like that. So these two kind of look like they're duplicated, as in this one and this one. So I might just push that over a bit. Yeah. Okay. So I don't want to see any white areas like where this kind of landscape is. I said landscape, but I don't want to see any of that white. I'm trying to hide all of that. So let's, suppose, just duplicate this again. Hold down Alt, click and drag. We'll rotate it 180. Or not even 180, maybe like 170 or something like that, or 200. We'll try 170. Back into our camera view. So now we're getting rid of any white areas there. These two here, this point and this point, look very duplicated. So let's try and hide that one. Let's see. I think it's the third one, group actor. Let's grab our move tool and just push this over. So that is looking less duplicated. And we're seeing less white areas. Cool. I mean, still there's some kind of duplication noticeable here if you were looking that way. So what we could do is just grab this group, push him down a bit. Like that. And we're going to see we're showing more white areas there then. Let's push him down a bit. Or maybe let's try scaling him up, and then pushing him up along the, something like that, possibly. No, I don't like that. Undo all that. Let's see, we might just have to ungroup this, and then we can grab this separately and push this one down, rotate him around so that it's not looking too we're not seeing any patterns. We don't want to see any patterns. Push him down a bit more. Move him over a little bit. Something like that. Okay. Not so bad. Still seeing a bit of white there, but we can worry about that later. Next, we're going to grab well, let's go to our content browser. And let's see, we have this huge canyon sandstone cliff. So it is this one here. This one's going to come in next. So let's drag him in. Let's just go into our sequencer so we can stop looking through our camera. And let's just push him back. He's going to go all the way back there. I'm going to scale him up as well. See what that looks like. So we'll move him over. And let's rotate him as well. Not like that. Undo that. Rotate him. No, I think the rotation's fine on that. Oh, I undid too much. So I'll just bring that back over and scale that back up. Okay. So let's deselect that and see what it's looking like. Cool, okay. So I still do prefer what this looked like in the nighttime. Not like in the sunlight lighting at all. But anyway, we'll keep going with this. I think this needs to go back further and like be bigger and go back further. So I'm going to put that right back and scale it up. Let's look at our camera so we can see what we're doing. Scale that up. Maybe like that. Yeah, I think that's a bit better. And we have like another one of these guys over here. So let's just duplicate him. We can rotate him ever so slightly. Push him down a bit. And yeah, okay. And then at the very background, I have like a giant landscape that I downloaded from the marketplace, like mountains stuff. We'll do a save all. So if we go to the Epic Games launcher and go to marketplace, type in landscapes or just landscape, hit enter. And we're going to go for free. And I think it was possibly this one I used. Could have been this one. Not sure. Going to try this one. Was it this one? This one looks cooler anyway, so... Or no, maybe it was actually the other one. Go back. Yeah, I think it was this one. Okay, so... yeah. Landscape background. So we're going to add this to project. Going to search for... BF, what is this project even called now? That's the other question. Show all projects. So I guess it's this one. And just reading the path so I can see BF Tut boss fight. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. You can tell by the lighting in the thumbnail anyway. So this is my submission. You can see it was like very dark at nighttime. So this is the one working on now. And again, I used Ultra Dynamic Sky to get this sky and lighting set up. But we're going to be using the built-in lighting, you know, the built-in lighting with UE5 so everybody can follow along, I suppose. This one, it's not compatible, so just pick the most recent one that it is compatible with. I don't know what that EA means. Go for it anyway. So we're going to add to project. So that's going to add itself to the project, and that shouldn't take too long. So while that's adding itself to project, we can start looking at what we're doing here. So yeah, the lighting is just not great at the moment. We'll leave it for now and we'll come back to it at the end, because you could be messing with lighting for ages and then you go back and you're finished and then you're like, oh yeah, I want to change it again. So we'll just hold off for the end. So did this add? I think it did. Let's check. Go to our content browser. Let's turn off this filter, go to content, and do we have any landscape folder? We don't. Photo backgrounds, is that it? Let's see if we turn on our static mesh. I think this is it. Looks like a bunch of mountains. So let's turn this off and see what we have. So we have meshes. Modular summer, modular spring, modular fall, mountain. I don't know which one I actually picked. So I'm just going to go for this random one here. Let's push this all the way back. Let's get out of our camera. So it looks huge anyway, so that's a good start, I suppose. Nice and big. Push that back. Yeah, I mean, that looks pretty good. Let's go right back with this now. What am I doing? Let's have a look. What are you doing there? Yeah, okay, so this has to go right back, all the way back. Green, we're looking for the green axis. Push you back. It's hard to select that green axis. So what is this set to at the moment? Let's see. So we'll just add like minus, we'll just say minus 200. Onto that, so that's all the way back there. Let's go further back again. Change this 2 to a 4. Yeah, nice and far back. Can we even see that now though? Maybe that's too much. Change it to a 3 instead. And let's see what that looks like now. We'll make it bigger. So let's make sure the scale is locked and just start scaling this up. Can push it right down. This isn't the mountain that I used, I can tell. But I'm going to duplicate it, hold down Alt, and I'm going to scale this one up along the Z-axis, the blue axis, to give this a bit of variation. I want to move this back more. Where am I? Click on that. Where's the... Okay. Transform is here, hiding. So we'll move this back. That's not working. I'm going to try and select, let's deactivate this and we'll be able to get it. Okay, so that worked. Turn that back on. I'm going to scale this up again along the blue axis and move it over a little bit. Okay. This, I want to push it back along the green axis, the Y. I get confused with the axis directions because it's different in UE5 than it is in Cinema 4D. Push that down a little bit. This one I'll push it up a bit. And I'll scale it up a bit. Push it down a bit. And leave it like that. Okay, so we have a bit of a scene or a set kind of rocking, I suppose. It's not looking as plain as it was at the start. One thing I also did was I duplicated my monster guy and I put another one of them over here. But we don't need to do that now. That's just a heads up. I have a castle ruins here, which I downloaded from Sketchfab. So I'm not sure which one it was. I think it might have been... I think it might have been this one. I think it was this one. But let me confirm that before you guys go and downloading it. So no, it wasn't this one. It was, if you just search San Galgano, it was this one. So yeah, this is the one. Now, you don't have to download this one, but this is the one that I used in my submission. So I'm going to download this one again, just to show you the whole process involved downloading assets from Sketchfab. So this was created by, who was it created by? LZ Creation. So thanks LZ Creation for this. We're going to download this. Let's download it as an OBJ. See what we get. So I'm just going to extract everything and have a look in here. Let's extract this also. Super zipped within a zipped. Okay, so we're just going to import in this OBJ. What else did we get with this? So we just got the texture there as well. So let's just import in the OBJ and see what happens. So minimize that. Let's open back into Unreal. And we're going to go to our content browser. Do we have an OBJ folder? We don't. Do we have an assets folder? We don't. So let's just create a new folder. Call it assets. And we can create a folder for the San Galgano ruins. Okay, that was the hardest naming a folder I've ever done in my life. So we're going to import in, we'll just drag and drop this in. This is the OBJ here. In it goes. Let's have a look at this. I think we'll just leave everything as is, import that in. And let's see, how long is this going to take? Okay, that actually took quite a long time for me. Well, how long is a piece of string? But I paused the video anyway, just in case you guys were wondering why your one's taking a bit longer. Okay, so here's our mesh. Let's drag this in. And I might pause again while that's loading. Okay, nothing happened. Oh, maybe something did. I don't know. Anyway, something happened this time. So we'll deactivate our camera. Let's hit F on our keyboard. Sometimes when I hit F on my sequencer, I'm worried that it's done something like before, like added keyframes. But it didn't seem to do it this time. Okay. So let's move this into position. What am I holding here? So this is, okay, here it is. It's just really small. Sorry for the confusion. Scale that up. And is it already, it looks like it's already textured, which is sweet. And we're going to push this all the way over there. Hit F on your keyboard to chase it. Let's have a look. Okay, so we're quite close to the rock that we were aiming for. Or are we? Where even are we? I don't know. So there's our monster guy. I think this is the rock that we were aiming for. So let's push that over. And over there. And hit F again. Let's bring this up. And we have arrived. Okay. So I'm just going to hop back into my camera view and then we'll be able to position this a bit easier. Needs to be scaled up quite a bit. Just going to drag here, it'll be easier. Well, I say it will, it's actually not. And I'm going to rotate this to, I don't know what position yet. Yeah, maybe like there. There looks kind of cool. And I'm going to make sure that we can't really see the bottom of this. Let's push that down. Okay, so that's sticking out quite obviously. Hit F on your keyboard so we can fly over here. Bring this back. Pull it up a bit. Bring it over. Back into our camera. Yeah, okay. Not so bad. I wonder if we rotate this. Nope. Turn off the snapping and try it like that. Maybe a little bit like that. Yeah, I think I like it like that. Okay, so that's our castle ruins that we have going. I'm going to bring this mountain down a bit because it's kind of like killing my buzz of my castle. Bring that down a bit. Okay. Okay. Now I did have a flag here, but I don't know if I'm going to have time to do the flag. Because, you know, this tutorial is going to be super, super long. So I might just now try to, let's see. What are these rocks looking like at all? If we hit play on that. How are those rocks looking? Oh yeah, they're looking good once you actually hit play. So I guess what we could try and do now is the giant meteor or comet that's flying through the sky. So let's pause this now and do a file, save all. Okay, so for the meteor, I'm going to be using the exact same meteor that I created in this tutorial. So this is a Cinema 4D tutorial where I kind of tracked the camera and used Pyro to create that meteor effect. Basically, I just exported the VDB from Cinema 4D, and I'm using that VDB. That's what I'm going to be importing into Unreal Engine. So I'm going to put the description to the VDB in the or a link so you guys can download the VDB from the description below. So just in case, and if you guys want to make this, just follow along with this tutorial. It's on my channel. So let's go and create a folder, a new folder. Call this VDB. And I have it here. So this is the entire VDB. It goes from frame 0 all the way to frame 145. So we have 120 frames in this, so that's plenty of frames. So I'm just going to click and drag this into Unreal Engine. And we want to set this to 16-bit. So it's found 146 files. We're going to set this to temperature. And attributes B, just set that to 8 and none. Let's click on import. So that will take a little bit of time, so I'll pause the video here and we'll wait for this to be finished. And if your guys' machine looks like it's crashed or anything, just give it a bit more time. Sometimes it kind of takes a bit of time to figure itself out. Okay, so that's done. So we have our VDB here. So we need to create a material for this so that we can see it. So I'm going to right click here. I'm going to create a new material. And this will be called Pyro. Or we'll call this Meteor. Pyro. Okay, now there's a whole lot of stuff that needs to be done for this, but luckily Jonathan Winbush has created the blueprint for us here. So this link, I'll put this in the description below. So Winbush has been kind enough to set up the entire material for us, the blueprint. So all we have to do is go down here and click on this, and it will copy to your clipboard, and then we can open up this material that we just created, and we can Control V to paste that in. So that is very handy. Otherwise we have to set up all that from scratch, and I wouldn't even know how to do that, but I did following along a separate Winbush tutorial. So thanks Winbush for all the help with this. But yeah, so we need to just connect a few things here. So this we need to, first of all, we need to change this to be a volume. And the blend mode, we're going to set it to additive. And then we're going to connect this scattering color to the albedo. This multiply output is going to go into emissive color. And then this one down here is going into extinction. And then this node here, this is where we're going to be attaching the VDB. The VDB is going to go in here under sparse volume texture, so we can see it here, Meteor for UE5. So just click on that. Okay, so let's apply and save. Now we can just close this down, and we are now going to right click and create material instance. The reason we're doing that is so that we can open this up, and we're going to be able to access all of our properties here without actually going into the main material and editing it in the nodes system. So that is our VDBs pretty much set up. So what we need to do now is add a container for this to put this VDB into. So if we just click here and type in HET, so I think this is pronounced heterogeneous volume, something like that. So let's click on that. So you can see we get this little dragon icon here. So we are going to drag and drop the material instance that we just created into this. So just do that now. And we're not going to see it play at the moment. Let's just deactivate our camera so we can move around. Okay, my camera's moving really fast. Let me slow this down a bit. Camera speed, slow that down. Now it's really slow. Use F to zoom in. Okay, so this is our dragon icon thingy. So this is our heterogeneous volume. So we're going to drag the, we've already done that. Okay. So we can't see it playing at the moment. We need to scroll down to animate. Where's animate? Animation. And we need to turn playing on, and we need to turn looping on as well so that it will loop. Okay. So now you can see we have our Meteor. It doesn't look quite right yet. We're going to try and fix this with our black body parameter, our density multiplier, and our temp multiplier. So just turn all those on. And we're going to be messing around with these values in a minute. So we need to position this first of all. So let's do that now. So we want this to be behind our monster. And push it up a bit. We're going to have to scale this up as well because it's quite small. But for now, let's just get it behind our monster and push it up. Let's have a look at what that looks like in our camera view. So we can't see it, so we're going to scale it up. I'm going to scale it up to like, make sure your scale is locked here. Scale that up to like maybe 14. Can't see it. Oh, there it is. Okay. So let's just maybe scale it down a bit, like to 12. And we're going to have to push it back. So I'm going to speed up my camera a bit more. And I'd like to see what this is looking like in my camera. So if I just search for my camera, without having to look through it in the sequencer, I can just select it here and then I can pin it with this pin preview. Then I can go back to my heterogeneous volume and move that back. And now we're going to be able to see in our camera what that's looking like. So if you move it back too far, you're not going to be able to see it at all. See what I mean? If you move it back all the way back there, it kind of gets culled if you move it back too far. I don't know how to fix that. But moving it back like this much is enough. We can just see how far we can actually push that back. Yeah, so something like that. And let's move it up. So it's like coming from the top left and kind of traveling at an angle downwards towards the Earth, we'll say. Just going to push that down a little bit. So now let's pop back into our camera and we can unpin this, see what that's looking like. So it looks like it's going to last we can push that over a little bit maybe and go to frame 0. So we want to ensure that so it's about 146 frames, this VDB. And we want to make sure that it's not going to stop playing before the end of our 120 frames. So just the way I test that out is I wait for it to stop, hit play, it's going, it's going, it's going, and it's fine. So it didn't disappear before the 120 frames ended, if that makes sense. So now we can start messing around with the material instance, the Pyro material instance, to kind of see if we can get this looking a bit better. So let's open that up, and I'm going to minimize it a bit. Let's see. Okay. So let's start playing with the properties here. So let's just bring up the temp multiplier first of all. So this probably needs to go up a good bit. Something like that. I think that's already looking kind of good. Maybe we bring up the density multiplier to like 2. No, I preferred it at 1. And then the black body parameter, I don't even think I want to do anything with that either. So something like that is actually okay. Looks pretty good like that, I think. So I'm just going to hit save on that, close that down, and do a file, save all. And you can see also that if I was to move my sun around, the light is actually affecting the cloud of smoke, which is pretty cool. So that's cool, but I'm going to undo that because I kind of liked my sun position where it was. Okay, so I think we're coming to an end of this. We're pretty close to being finished with this now. There was a flag here that I'm missing, but as I said, I've already gone way over time with this. So I want to get rid of this area of interest as well. We don't need that anymore. Good luck to you. You're gone. The lighting, I'm not too unhappy with the lighting. It's not nighttime, but it is different. I think I'm fine with it. Also, if we set the settings here to cinematic, you can see that, this is going to start looking a lot better. As well, it'll perform a lot slower, but I think the lighting isn't too bad. We could shine a light down on our guy. He's looking a bit dark there, and it's kind of hard to notice him. So I'll do that now. I'll go to our guy, and we will get a light shining down on him. Let's turn off this Meteor for now, because it's probably slowing me down my machine. So I'll turn plane off for now. We don't need to see that at the moment. And let's grab our light for this guy. So we're going to get a spotlight, maybe. Let's move this up. And pull it forward. Move it up a lot more. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, so now there's a bit of a highlight going on our guy. Like if we remove that light, just turn it off and on, I mean. Yeah, so it's making our guy pop a lot more, which is better. As for our monster, I mean, he's being pretty well lit by the sky and the sun. I like the way when he turns, you get that like nice highlight along his chest, which is kind of cool. Yeah, okay. Let's do a file, save all. And now we can start looking towards the finishing touches, getting this ready for rendering. So first of all, I'm going to go to my exponential height fog here in my outliner, and I want to bring the fog density. Let's just see what we can say. Let's just get to a better view here. So let's increase this, not as much so that you can't even see the mountains in the background, but something like that. And the fog height fall off, we can bring that up a little bit. Something like that. Something like 0.4. Then we have a secondary fog, or second fog data. So that's just kind of fog closer to the foreground, we'll say. So we can bring that up as well. And then we can, and that's a bit too much, I think. And then the fog height fall off for this. We can mess around with this a little bit as well. Something like that. Cool. Okay, so that's the fog. We're going to look at our camera settings now. So let's go into our camera. And I want to scroll down to lens focus settings, and I want to turn this draw debug focus plane on. I want to be focused on our monster for this. So just make that so. Something like that. Then it's pretty much focused on him for the entire time. And let's turn the aperture down to like 1.8. So now we get some nice depth of field going. Maybe go to like 2.4. So then our guy isn't too blurred out, we'll say, but the foreground stuff is still nice and blurred. We'll go for 2 for the happy medium. Let's have a look at this. Okay, so something I spot there, you can see this rock is it's casting a shadow on our light that we have on our guy because it's just going right through it. So that's kind of flashing, it doesn't look good. So what we'll do is we'll grab that light and just pull it down a bit. Just pull it down beneath the rock so that it's not going to affect it's not going to cast any shadow as it flies overhead. That's perfect. Still a bit of a shadow there, is there? Pull it down a little bit more. Yeah, okay. Cool. And what else is there to do? I think that's pretty much it, guys. Let's just scroll down in the camera. Let's find the camera again. And we can have a look and see, we can turn on, where are we going? Let's go to lens and let's look at the lens flare. We can turn that on, I suppose, because it might be cool as our meteor is flying past. So let's crank up the intensity of that. Not too much though. What's the default? Maybe just a little bit over. We'll go like 1.2. 1.2 on that. And let's see what that looks like when our meteor is turned on. So just search HET for heterogeneous volume. I'm going to stop trying to pronunciate that now. I'll never say it again. So let's get that playing. Where are you? Yeah, let's turn this on. Yeah, so that looks pretty cool. The lens flare looks nice. We could just do the lens flare in After Effects, you know. It would look better if you guys have... So I'm going to turn off, if you guys have the Red Giant, the new Red Giant stuff, it's going to give us a better lens flare than what we're going to get in Unreal Engine 5. So I'll just stop that for a second. Search my camera again. Camera, I'm going to turn off lens flare. Where are you? Lens flare. Lens flare, there you are. Okay, I'm going to turn you off. And I'm going to set that up in After Effects once this is rendered out. So I think that's pretty much it, guys. Everything else we can just do in After Effects, I think. Chromatic something or other. What's it called? Chromatic aberration. I think we can turn some of this on. So it's like when the edges of the camera, if I just crank it up, you'll see what I mean. See the edges of the camera, it gives us a more kind of a, I don't know, I guess cameras do this to a certain extent, but not like over the top or anything. So if we turn that up, and then we can turn the start offset so that it doesn't happen in the center of the shot. It only happens at the edge. Kind of like that. Something like that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. It's a bit too much, I think. Maybe go down to like 2. That'll do. And I would like to have a bit of camera shake rocking as well. So, do a file save all. And camera shake, how do you do that again? I think it's like right click, go to your content folder, right click, and let's create a blueprint class. It's going to be, what's it going to be? Camera something, probably camera shake. That would make sense. Type in shake and see what comes up. Camera shake base, that's the one. Select that. And let's open that up. And we're given the node view. We don't want that, so we just close it and open it up again. And like magic, it's no longer in the node view. Root shake pattern. Oh, I have no idea what's this. Perlin noise camera shake pattern. I think that's it, actually. Oh, there's only like 5 to choose from, so that's it. And then, so the timing, we're going to set this to 0 so that the camera shake will last for the entire sequence. And we can go to rotation, and we're going to be messing around with the, I don't know yet if we're going to be messing around with the pitch, yaw, or roll, so we'll just kind of crank up the pitch and see how it looks. So let's compile and save. I'm just going to drag this over to my other window, and now in my sequencer, where's my camera? Camera, where are you, camera? I think the camera's actually in a different sequence. It is. So if I go to my content drawer, the way this template was set up by the guys over at Pwnisher, whoever set up this, set it up so that the camera is in a different sequence. So if we go to the medium, into the BF medium template, animations, and this is where the camera is. So this is the camera. So we need to add the camera shake to this. So we're going to track the camera shake, the one that we just created, which is, we didn't give it a name. So now, if we close down that and open up the main sequencer that we've been working in the whole time, which is this one. Activate the camera. Now let's play. No, it's not giving us camera shake. Perlin noise camera shake pattern. Then maybe if I crank it up a bit. Rotation, multiplier, amplitude. Let's see if that works. Oh yeah, okay. So I just kind of like cranked up the volumes or the properties to ridiculous values. So let me just reset that, and I'll just turn this up like a little bit. Let's see. Once I compile that and save. So it's still like crazy. So let's reset this, compile and save. Okay, so now we have our camera shake on, but it doesn't look good. So let's bring down the, let's bring this up actually and see what it's doing. Pitch. Let's set this to 0. And the yaw is, we'll set that to 0. And the roll, we'll set that to 0 as well. Okay. So, let's see. Let's mess around with the roll. So no, that we don't like that. The pitch, we'll mess around with that. Bring that right up. Frequency needs to be like 0.1. So we set this to like 0.5. We'll try 2. Yeah, I think that's looking kind of cool. Yeah, I think I'm liking that camera shake. Okay, that's going to be the one. So, oh no, it's showing our floor there. We don't have any rocks. So let's bring down the amplitude down to like 1. And compile. Don't forget to compile and save. And let's have a look at that. Yeah, okay, so it's subtle. We might need to duplicate the rocks there. So let's just pause this, come out of here for a second. Let's grab our grouped object there and just click and drag so that we can avoid seeing any of that white floor there. Something like that. So now we're going to be able to have our camera shake. Oh, we got to get rid of that nastiness. So let's click on this and ungroup that. And now we can move this one out of the way altogether. Yeah, so now we're not seeing any white area, any white from the floor. And we're still seeing some though, we're still seeing some. Okay, so we need to fix this. Okay. Bring you there. Let's grab this fella, bring him over here, and let's have a look at that. Drag this over here. Has that solved our problem with the... yeah, I think it has. Can we see any white now in the back? Oh, it's showing up again. That's weird. Okay, looks like we just need to put in a bit more, like here. Pull that down. Hopefully that's it now. What in the world has happened here with this yoke? What is that doing there? Who put that there? Get rid of you. So if this just shows more white again now, I think I'm going to give up talking about how long this tutorial is going on, and then I just... yeah, okay, I think that's good to go, guys. I think that's good to go. The camera shake seems to like variate between loops for some reason. I don't know. But I guess it's just kind of random. It's not like baked, so that makes sense. But I think that's good to go, guys. So now we just file, save all. We need to ensure that we turn on our Meteor. So search for the HET, heterogeneous volume. And let's get rid of that search thing there. We're going to go to the animation, turn on plane, and that is it. Okay, so now we can just set this up for render, guys. So we're going to go back to frame 0. That's an unnecessary step, but I do it anyway. Save all. We're going to go to Window, Cinematics, Movie Render Queue. Now, if you haven't already done so, I might not have done it either. We'll go to plugins. We're going to search for movie render queue. So I have already that selected. So just make sure you have that turned on. You'll probably have to do a restart if you haven't turned it on yet. And let's close down this. So we're going to go to, once that's set up, go to Window, Movie, or Cinematics, Movie Render Queue. And we're going to render out the boss fight medium sequence. This one. Make sure it's not the medium template, it's the BF medium sequence. So let's open this up. We're going to be rendering this out as a PNG sequence. And we're going to not write the alpha. We're going to get some anti-aliasing rocking. We're going to go for 2 and 16. Make sure to override the anti-aliasing. Let's grab the game overrides. And cinematic quality settings is turned on. And finally, we're going to go for the, console variables. And I already have a list of these copied into a little notepad here. So I'll put all these in the description below. And I'm just going to make a note of that as well, so I don't forget. I'll paste all of these in the description below for you guys so you can copy them as well. So this is going to just improve the quality of the ambient occlusion, global illumination, reflections, and shadows. So let's grab each of these one by one. I'll just pop this over into the other screen for a second. So we're going to grab console variables, click on Add Element, and let's paste that in. So it's going to pop up there if you've typed it in correctly, and you can grab it. And then we're going to add another one. Go to the second one in my notepad. I'm just copying these out. And make sure it's typed correctly, it'll pop up. And then add element again. And then the last one. Cool. And that's pretty much it, guys, for the render settings. So we're going to go to output now, and let's click on this. Let's find a place to put this out to. I'm just going to create a new folder in my the top level of my folder structure here. Type in sequences, and this is main sequence. Select that as the folder. I'm going to render this out in HD, because why not? By 2 and by 2. And that's fine. Everything else is fine. Click on accept, and then click on render local. So I'm just going to give this a second just to make sure that it's going to actually work and we've set up everything correctly. It's going to compile some shaders, so I'll pause the video until it's done, and we'll pop back in once we see the first frame has actually started to render. Okay, so there's a number of issues with my render. So I'm going to go through each of them and show you how to fix them. So the first one is, now I already tested this, so I erased the first frame, but you might have noticed that the monster he's standing up on frame 1. He's in a T-pose on frame 1. So I fixed that by going to my sequencer, finding the Rampage Elemental. That's the monster's animation layer. And all I did was, so this when I started rendering the frame that was giving me the error where he's in the T-pose, it was kind of like right up to frame 0. So you need to give this a bit of time to kind of kick in. So all I did was clicked and dragged this just a little bit behind frame 0 so that it gives him a bit of a chance to kind of find himself, we'll say. So that's how I fixed that problem. Second problem I had, now this is just an error on my own part, is the rock is, as you can see, this rock is appearing way too soon and then it disappears. So that was just an oversight there. This rock large 2, it needed to be set to invisible and it wasn't. And also on this one, we have the visibility turned off a bit too soon. So we need to just, I don't think that matters, but just click and drag that so that the visibility kicks in just when the animation kicks in. So that was the rocks problem. And then the next issue I was having was that the Meteor was starting right in the middle of the screen. It wasn't starting off screen. So that was a weird one. So to fix that, I'm just going to do a file save all. To fix that, just make sure everything's okay now. So to fix that, I just went back to frame 0, did a file save all. I went to my movie render queue. Now this is actually a weird one. I didn't know that this would actually make a difference. But so I opened that up. All my settings are the same. Everything's the same as it was. Output is set to the same place and all that good stuff. So what I did to fix that was I clicked on render local at the very moment this disappears. So at the very moment the loop finishes, as in right now. Oh, I didn't click on it properly. So let me try again. Right now. And then you can see that the actual Meteor stops playing there in the viewport. And hopefully all of our render issues now will be solved. So I'm going to pause the video here again and I'll pop back in once frame 1 has rendered. Okay, so it's rendering frame 1, as you can see. Our monster is not in T-pose anymore. The Meteor is out of shot. And with a bit of luck, it's going to be in shot at around frame 9. I think it comes in around frame 9. Yeah, so that's it, guys. We got there after coming on to 4 hours. We did get there. We still have a little bit left to do. So hopefully we'll wrap this up around the 4-hour mark. And yeah, once this is rendered, we're going to pop into After Effects and, you know, color grade it a little bit and add in a nice lens flare for our Meteor. Okay, guys, we have rendered this out, so we're going to bring it now into After Effects. So I have it here, sequences, main sequence. Make sure a PNG sequence is selected. Bring that in, hit Control, Alt, and G to interpret the footage. Set this to 24 frames per second. That's what we rendered it out as. And let's drag this down to this little composition icon and release. So the composition settings for the submission were, or the rules, so it had to be, for 4K, it was 3840 wide and 1620 high. Just like that. So this is our render. And it looks pretty good off the bat. But we're going to add in some nice lens flare. And, you know, if you guys, earlier I did say if you guys don't have access to this Universe Null Light Factory, then I suggested you put your lens flare in there using Unreal Engine 5. But if you haven't, then we're going to do it here in the RG Universe effect plugin whatever you call it. So let's do that now. So I'm going to select the footage, search null, and let's add this. So we have a number of different ones. The one that I thought looked nice was the, let's see, it was the natural light and the bright sky. So I thought this one, even though that one actually kind of looks nice as well now that I'm looking at it, but there's so many here to choose from, I'm just going to go with the bright sky one. And for position, I'm going to position it just here for now. And I'll be able to push it over then closer to the edge of my comp here, because that's where we want it. And let's add a keyframe for the position, light location, add a keyframe there. So we have a keyframe. And then we're going to go back to frame 0. And we're going to place it around, we're going to place it then around here. I think that's where it starts. It starts off shot, so we just kind of have to eyeball it. So, not quite, but we can just start moving this around now. And keyframes are going to be added automatically for us. So I'm just dragging this little circle. So let's see how that looks coming in. Yeah, that'll work. And then it's going to move away. So we just kind of keep dragging it back into position. Now, like that. It's going to move away again. I'm dragging it back. Just keeping it in the center of that fireball as best I can. Let's just center up everything. And it's moving away again, so I'm just centering this up. Okay. And then right before the end, do another center up. Okay, so that's the, let's see how that looks. Okay. Just make sure that this isn't jumping around too much. Yeah, okay, so that's the lens flare. And then for the color grading, made really, really easy. Just by going to effects, and we're going to grab a RG trap code, magic bullet, colorista 5. Or is it colorista 5? No, it's not. Effect RG magic bullet. Maybe it is colorista 5. Yeah, I think it is actually. So grab this and we're going to choose a preset. And the one that I thought looked really cool was the cool and warm plus D pink. So I'm going to apply that. I thought that looked really nice. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. And finally, maybe a little bit of vignette. Yeah, that looks really nice. Probably don't even need the vignette, but we'll go for a bit of vignette. I don't know if you can add it in with the colorista. I can't see it. Vignette. No, I can't see vignette here. It's probably here. I'm just being blind. But anyway, I'll go for a Lumetri effect, double click on that, and we'll just scroll down to vignette, and we will bring this down a little bit to get some nice vignette in there. On, off, on, off. Okay, and let's have a look at what this looks like. Haha, okay, so it looks exactly as it did at the very start. I'm only messing, obviously. I had this rendered before I made the edit. But yeah, guys, let's see if that just loads in. There we go. Okay, that's it. So anybody who is still here and listening to me ramble and waffle on, you guys are amazing, truly. I cannot believe anybody made it this far, but you did. So well done and fair play. If you think you learned a lot, please let me know down in the comments, or if I did anything that you thought was inefficient and I could have done it better. All comments are welcome. Please do like the video. Anything that helps me stand out in the crowd with regards to the algorithm and all that good stuff on YouTube. And if anybody has not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.